Welcome back to the Blurred Podcast, where we never miss a week. As you know, we
Well, very
are,
clearly, we had an episode last week.
and we have one this week. So I
That's
think our
right.
track record is standing strong.
Number 31, boys.
Yeah, episode 31. How's it feel to be into not only double digits but into the 30s? You feel like
My existential dread is growing. My fear of death looms overhead. I'm
middle age is
old.
creeping in on us as the podcast on the podcast. We only have
Well, yeah.
another good
I mean,
5 years or so.
as somebody in their like later 30s, if we like equate this to like my like progression as I've aged, then we've got another like a few more episodes before stuff just starts unraveling and getting really bad. So enjoy it while it lasts. Like this, the
wheels are gonna
31,
fall
32 is great. But
Yeah, we're
kind of finding ourselves. We're getting our stride, and then we're gonna hit a brick wall.
right. Yeah, when we get into the 40s, we'll probably have to do a full-on therapy session at the beginning of every show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just a note, 35 is when the podcast is going to start streaming and considering that to be a viable career shift. So, if that has any indication as to where this is going,
yeah, we'll quit our jobs and do podcasts every day that the same 30 people will listen to. Yeah, great.
I
love that.
That might be on the table for me if things go awry in the next couple months.
Oh yeah, because you're dealing with some real life job stuff, huh?
To be determined.
Yeah. Well, I hope that goes all right for you. How are you guys doing as far as in-game stuff goes? I gotta admit, this might be the first week that I don't finish all 10 Limbus climbs.
Wait. You've been doing all 10?
Yeah, I've been doing all 10.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So this
the burnout is real, buddy.
Yeah. I don't think I have it in me to do all 10 again this week.
I have been doing 5 I think I looked back, I have a log of which chests I've opened, and I just copy a new few rows, 5 more rows every time. So I've got 6 weeks, and I've cleared 5 out of 5 Temenos 6 weeks in a row. I'm doing essentially my 30th cleared right now. And in that time, I've done 6 Apollyon clears.
Okay.
Why do you dislike Apollyon so much?
Because I couldn't do 10 out of 10. Like mentally, I just couldn't handle doing 10 out of 10 back in the fall before they added, the weapons or the armor. And so I was like, I'm only gonna do Apollyon back in the fall. And so I ended up at this point where I had like 25 murky matters and 0 alabaster matters. So I've been balancing. At some point in the next like couple weeks, probably I'll get back to the point where I need murky matters again, and then I'll probably just stop doing Limbus entirely at that point, because I don't know how I'm gonna.
I also feel like that you doing the NMs is like a good way to balance it out. Like you may not get to you may not do 10 runs a week, but you also do all of the NMs on Shiva like every time. Whereas like us poor plebeians on Asura that work in the morning, we're not able to do that. So I have to do 10 runs a week if I want to like make any meaningful progression, it feels like.
Right. That's true.
I'm sure the unique data is quite fulfilling for you, and you're getting your matter that way as well.
You get essentially, if you do all the NMs, at least in my experience, I get about like 6 to 7 unique data, depending on how much like participation I get to do.
That's really good.
And that's a month, right? So like in that time in a month, you would get 20 chests. So it's not quite, equivalent.
It doesn't offset it, yeah.
It's not like the same, but at the same time it does like stretch out the amount of time that I don't have to do Apollyon for sure.
Well, so that's cool that you have an alternative to, instead of smashing your face in against Limbus climbs every week.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I'll be honest.
That says we're speaking Chinese right now.
That's fine.
Are we really?
I think some people just don't do Limbus and aren't familiar
Yeah.
with
When
the
the
stuff.
when the topic of Limbus comes up, the eyes glaze over. It's like this again.
Yeah, I mean, well, we're gonna talk about it because we're doing it and we don't like it, and we'll probably keep talking about it until we moderately like it, and which may never happen if we're being real.
Right. I was thinking about, this is just a thought that I had out,
Mhm.
like we were kind of brainstorming Limbus, and I was talking about like the time commitment as I do in like my periodic like mini crash outs about how much Limbus sucks and how much time we have to spend. And I think what's crazy to me then I realized that most of the time, if you're doing 10 hours of Limbus a week, right? You're doing 10 clears, and that on average takes about 10 hours. I think some people are faster. You factor in maybe doing NMs or some slow clears. I would say 10 hours to do 10 full chest opens is probably pretty average. And I was like, I've always had that number in my head as like this is a crazy time commitment. 10 hours of Limbus when you have to do other stuff is a lot. Um, then I realized that like that's a full party of people, hypothetically. That's 6 people doing 10 hours. So like the full time commitment to a Limbus full clear is 60 hours.
You have to
That's
consider this as
crazy.
well. On Asura, at least, I do all my runs pug. I'll have
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 friends from our Sorty group, and after the Sorty run, they're like, "Hey, I'll stick around. We'll do a Limbus," and then we shout for 3
Yeah.
extra people, and that often takes 20 to 40 minutes
Right.
to find those people. So that's time added to the Limbus grind that isn't really on the paperwork.
Yeah, it's rough, but don't worry because if you're shouting for pugs on Azura, you'll probably be shouting for R30 Prime only for an hour, while you could have just done it for you could have just been done with the Limbus run by the time you get somebody with that meets those requirements. But that's just Azura stuff.
I also think people are sick of hearing us whinge about Limbus, even though it is the modern thing to talk about.
Yeah, no, I mean, if people like don't want to talk or don't want to listen to us talking about Limbus, my suggestion would just be 1, skip ahead to
Unsubscribe.
something else,
Yeah.
or 2, just like
Yeah.
don't listen to the
Maybe
podcast.
I don't know. Maybe don't listen to a Final Fantasy 11 podcast where the
Yeah,
only content we have is Limbus, and it's the only thing to complain about. So like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But I mean, I do think though that like I was joking about this earlier, where I was like, I think this is my way, because like the only way, and we've said this before, the only way to like convince the development team, if this even works, that that Limbus is not fun, is to not do it, right? I'm of course going to do Limbus because I want the gear. But if I can stream myself doing Limbus, and we can talk about it on the podcast, we might convince 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 people that Limbus is bad, and they won't do it. So this is like our public service is talking about how bad it is, to try to convince the dev team and other people to not do it.
Right.
It has
I think
nothing to
that's
do
the
with
best thing
being
we
the
can do.
only person on Shiva with the shiny gear.
Yeah, like I feel like we talk about this pretty weekly in private, but our only goal for making this podcast was influencing the masses, and ideally like just making sure that people mindlessly do what we say. That's really what we want to get out of this podcast. If people think critically about what we say, then maybe this podcast isn't the show for you. But if you blindly listen to the things that we say with no critical thought put in, then yeah, this is definitely the show for you.
Well, that's what they should be, right? Because this is the only podcast for Final Fantasy XI with factual, scientifically proven data.
Yep.
And there's no argument that can be made against that. And if you do make an argument, you're wrong and should leave.
Yes.
And if you could just, if everybody listening could drop a comment down in the YouTube video, just saying, I totally agree, or like, you guys made great points.
Right.
That's all we need.
Right.
Just, drop a comment down there, say that you agree with all our points, and you're going to change your ways to match what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the goal.
I would say I read those comments every week, and it gets me through the week. but I've yet to see one of those comments, so I'm waiting patiently.
Okay.
I do like that's YouTube comments though. I feel when I do go through my phases of making YouTube videos, which I'm on the lull of that right now, but it's always like you open up the thing and there's one comment that's like, "Thanks so much for making this video. This is super helpful, and thanks for everything you do in the community." I'm like, "Oh, that's nice." And then the next comment's like, "You guys are fucking stupid, and this is wrong. This is why." And it's just like the dichotomy, like
Oh
the
yeah.
opposite. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
don't know.
it's
Okay.
fine. Like everybody like has different knowledge or experience in the game, you know. Um Obviously the three of us don't know every facet of everything
Mm.
Whoa,
in the game this
between the
old.
three of us, we do.
Yeah, actually, now that you mention that, you're right. Retract everything I said. We'll cut that out. Just mindlessly listen to what we say.
I think Scoopy asked me yesterday. She was like, "So do you know like everything about Final Fantasy 11?" I was like, "No. I know absolutely nothing. I don't know
Yeah.
why people listen to me."
Yeah.
Uh
In a game this big, it's kind of hard
yeah.
to know everything. I know there's a couple like um I don't want to say freaks of nature out there, but freaks of nature like
Mm.
Dex that know like a
Yeah.
lot about this game. Um but I feel like most end game players just kind of like, including myself, I include myself in this, like we know about the stuff that we do on a regular basis,
Yeah.
and everything else we just kind of like apply what we know about the game to that specific scenario. So we
Right.
just, do what we can.
I like Dex will be like, I'll be actively doing a quest and Dex will be like, "Oh my God, that's one of my favorite quests. I can't believe that NPC interaction from that." And I'm like, "Dude, I can't remember what happened in the quest that I'm actively doing. How do
Am
you
I a bad
remember?
person for
How do
following the
you
story and
how do you
watching the
remember
cutscene?
this?" Yeah. I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm just saying it's you're a freak of nature is what I was agreeing with.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you had asked when this conversation kind of started, like, what have we been up to in game? And
Oh yeah.
this reminds me that last week we didn't really have like a where have you been and have you been doing
Mm.
discussion.
Last
So
week's episode was long enough without that, to be honest.
no, you're right. We had a lot to talk about and it had been a while, but like,
Yeah.
has the grind just been Limbus for you guys, or have you guys been up to anything else?
I have done one sortie in about 2 weeks.
Ooh, I'm proud of you.
Yeah,
Break
I've
the
hardly
cycle.
done any sortie. I've been kind of I finished Moogle Mastery 45. I finished my Moogle Mastery, which
I'm
was my
jealous.
like my thing that I was striving to do a few weeks ago. And since I was like I went back and I did a few C farms and I was like I have so many segments, I don't even need a segment farm. And so I've kind of intermittently gone back to A and I'm starting to try to, get the max chest cost reduction as well.
Yeah.
But in general, I've kind of weaned myself off Odyssey. So I've been doing random stuff like I was yesterday for like 2 hours I was just skilling up my Puppet Master Automaton's magic skill. And that's
Oh,
what I've been
nice.
working on. That and
I need to do
Limbus.
that too. I've been slacking on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of like took a break from Limbus this week, and it was weird because I noticed that after 2 or 3 days of not doing Limbus, I was I was happy.
Your hair was
And
fuller. Your
yeah, I didn't feel like existential dread. Like I think on Monday,
yeah.
I was, because on normally what I'll do is on Sunday I'll do as many climbs as I can between like my
Yeah.
daily chores. It's also like my meal prep day, so it's like once I finish my chores around the house, I'll just sit down and I'll try to do like 3 or 4 climbs as
Right.
much as I have time for, and then I'll try to do like 1 or 2 a day until I finish.
Yeah.
And on Monday, I was like, shit, I only got 2 runs done yesterday. I'm already behind. Like, this is all I'm gonna do this week is Limbus. So on Monday, I just didn't play the game at all. I was like, I just
Wow.
don't even want to touch it. And then on Tuesday, I came back and I was like, you know what I haven't done in a while is Sorty. So I just did Sorty, and I'm rusty at Sorty because I haven't done it in a while. But it was nice. I was like, oh my gosh, It's like breathing fresh air when you remember there's stuff that exists outside of Limbus. And the weird thing is, Limbus is so bad, it's gaslighting me into thinking that Sorty is fun.
Oh,
Sorty is
nice.
fun.
Sorty is fun though. Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm not a big Sorty fan, but after doing Limbus for as long as we have been, I was definitely enjoying Sorty.
Yeah, you
Hell yeah.
said you didn't even log in on Monday. I had on Wednesday. I was streaming on Wednesday. I had like a little mini Limbus NM and Limbus climb crash out. I basically like we did like the tier 2 Apollyon NMs. I died like 5,000 times. Finished dynamic. We went and did Dynamis, and then I went back and I was like, okay, I've got to kill the roaming NMs to keep up. And I think I died to the Bard, and I was literally like, I'd been streaming for a few hours, but I was like, you know what? Never mind. We're not going to do this. We're ending stream. Bye. I was just like, I'm out of here. Never mind. I don't want to play this game. And then Thursday, I played World of Warcraft all day. I didn't log into Final Fantasy. I didn't even open it.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, I know this is a Final Fantasy 11 stream, but I advocate. I think that we become very addicted to Final Fantasy 11 a lot of times, and those of us between Myth and I and Dex, you're a content creator. We're all content creators in this sense. So we have a podcast and we play this game on stream or otherwise, and it's like it's super healthy to not play the game a few days a week if you can manage it. Maybe just don't log in once or twice a week.
Yeah, I was actually looking at PlayStation 5 games on Monday. Unfortunately, I couldn't
That's
find
kinda hype.
anything that looked interesting to me. There's this
Nice.
one like RPG that looks like similar almost to Final Fantasy 16 that looked kind of interesting, and I was looking at it. I can't remember what it was called. But it's a JRPG, I guess, that had been in the works for a while. And then I looked at reviews and they were like, it's not that great. And I was like, well, fuck. And then I ended up just watching TV and then went to bed.
Nice.
But yeah,
I've really
Good thing
wanted
to
to
do is Go ahead.
oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say really quick, I've really wanted to recently. I keep getting this weird random like I really want to learn and get good at a fighting game, which I haven't like really been proficient at fighting games since I was in like high school. So I would love to.
Is Heghmoh gonna be the next Tekken champion? Is that what's gonna go on?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Whenever fighting games come up, I'm like, I love Super Smash Brothers and all the real fighting game. People are like, that's not a real fighting game. Fuck you.
I don't know. I kind of agree with that. I don't know if I'd consider Smash Brothers a fighting game.
It is and it isn't.
Really?
Yeah, I can see why you consider it, but I can also see why people don't.
It's not a typical combo kind of fighting game, but there are a lot of fighting games that are like Smash on the market.
Because it's like a brawler melee like big group of people, right? And I think that would like
in anything competitive, it's 1-on-1.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I think about Smash Brothers, it's been years
since I played this,
by the way. Yeah, you think of it as a party game. For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Flexible like
I haven't
that.
played. Yeah, I've said this before, but I haven't played Smash Brothers since the original. So like I never played like.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, but.
So unfortunate. I would school y'all.
All right, we're well aware of that. Yeah.
When you were talking about how you finally got back in the Sorty, I'm reminded how like I've had some turbulent times and we got new static members and brought them back up to speed, and now everything's kind of going good. And then
Well, you've had some of the best, like maybe best, like rank 1 Sorty runs in the world.
We've had some really awesome runs recently, and then we had a string of very not awesome runs where
nice.
We wiped to Amanon twice in a row, and then someone DC'd, forcing the run to like die. I DC'd for like 20 minutes and we didn't get everything done. And then we wiped to Gadget. Of all things.
Yeah, I've done that before too. Yeah.
You just get acid rained for 9/9 to everybody.
Yeah. You go from you go from getting your like world record Gallifrey clear, and then you turn around and you die to a upper floor boss.
Let
This
me
game knows how to put you in your place.
let me get ahead of this before I can already hear the YouTube comment section. How do we know it's a world record, and what are you
Oh,
referencing?
I didn't say that.
Yeah,
I mean,
Heghmoh,
to
you
me,
better
in
watch
my
your
heart,
mouth.
this is a Heghmoh official. Look, if anybody who wants to contest it, if you go to twitch.tv/Heghmoh and in the chat you click the follow button and then you report your Gallifrey run, how much Gallifrey you got, that's how you officially get into the world record running for the Heghmoh standings. Dex and Shiraj are the only people that have done that so far, so anybody else that wants to participate, please feel free. But for now, world record run is Dex and Shiraj.
Okay, and they're also the only people that have entered the contest.
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we're explaining this correctly.
Look, I don't have some sort of database of everybody's runs unless they're reporting them.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying that maybe you should be careful about what you say as people mindlessly listen to us, like we talked about
earlier. Pretty sure world record though.
We broke our personal record, and I'm very happy.
And how many points did you get, Dex?
96,000.
96,000.
96K.
That's
crazy.
Over time, over the past year, just been incorporating more like where you find them, and that's done wonders.
You know what's crazy is that, and not to like, this is maybe the wrong thing to say to the person that is doing something monumental like 96,000 Gallifrey a week.
I think it's being overstated what an achievement it is. It's a cool
No,
thing.
I mean, I think
that's
crazy. I think that's more than 99.9% of people that have played the game have gotten in a single run.
Which the thing is, when I advertise that we do a good run every now and then, like, once a month we'll have an exceptional run, but our average is, when I do that, people inevitably are like, yeah, but you're using tools. And I'm like, what tools? And then they always say like, oh, this one or that one. I'm like, well, we don't. Sorry.
Yeah, I think people make assumptions and but whatever. What's crazy though is that if you're doing 96K runs every day, it's still going to take you almost 90 days to make a stage 5 weapon.
Oh yeah, it's gross.
That's crazy.
So I feel like any group that does Ammonon regularly, whether you're doing all the extra credit in the world or not, is going to be ahead of the cycle.
Yeah.
So it just gives you that leeway to take days off or to work on armor.
Yeah.
But
that's what's nice about it.
It's mostly for earrings.
Well, I don't think I talked about this on the pod, but I finally broke the threshold and got my final job.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have all 22 jobs now. Plus,
oh, that's right. Yeah.
Took 57 earrings to get, and now I have 60. So
yeah, that's insane. Insane luck on earrings.
Everyone hates me in my group because we run the same fucking run together, and I just get all the earrings.
Yeah, I think I saw you posted your stats in terms of like 60 earrings, one of each +2, and like how many were perfect rolls. And I was like, wait, you get perfect rolls? Like I don't have anything that's above a 17. It's crazy.
Like Shiraj isn't a permanent member of my static, but he fills quite occasionally. He's filled in for like at a time. People have been unavailable, and I get all the earrings in the world, and he gets none of the earrings.
Yeah, well,
ever.
Shiraj went like I remember when Shiraj was like he was on like a 6-month dry spell where he didn't get a +2.
In the park for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But drop rates are fine, and we don't have any intention to increase them. Please continue doing Sorty.
I'm still salty about that question.
Yeah.
Like, why did he say that to the login points and not just talk about or making
just make the RE once a month or whatever.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
I honestly think based on his answer that he thinks it is. You know what I mean? Because he even said, I think like the translation was like, please continue to do Sorty consistently to get your +2 old case. And we're like, but we don't get, you
It's
don't.
not consistent. It's once.
Yeah, you get one. I think that they think that it's repeating quests.
Damn.
Imagine if the JPs have it repeating and we don't. That would be so scandalous.
Yeah.
That's that, huh?
Crazy. So we have an email, huh?
Yeah. So let's get into our email. We have an email from our friend Milo. And he is asking, hey guys, thanks for always answering our questions. I'm almost hesitant to ask this one, but I'm curious about the mechanics around nagling and how each job optimizes for it. I've been learning about stacking the different types of haste, and then I get confused about trying to figure out the fencer job trait plus haste samba compared to dual wielding with a TP offhand weapon. Now to be clear, I'm not a fan of the nagling Zerg approach, but I am a fan of optimizing things. It seems like just about every job of that sort should be ready to use it. So I'm not really asking which job is best Savage Blade spammer. I'm more interested to learn how each job optimizes for their contribution Nagelfest.
Nice.
So I think first off, we should kind of discuss the
First part.
haste samba and fencer versus dual wielding. Who wants to get into that?
I mean, I think the blanket statement on that is that like any job that's already dual, like there's a few jobs like Corsair, Bard, they're all that you want to be dual wielding because of how that affects your capacity to buff, which is like your primary role, right? Because like Bard's not going to be in a fencer stance because it wants to bring dual wield anyway. And if you're bringing dual wield anyway, 1,000 TP bonus is infinitely more potent, in my opinion, than another option, like than what you'd get from fencer, right?
Well, I'm just confused at the question a little bit because he's implying that fencer gives some sort of haste. It doesn't.
No. He's asking the combination of fencer with haste samba.
Compares to dual wielding with a TP off.
Yeah. So
I mean, if you have fencer, fencer alone is, I mean, only for warrior is really significant, but for bard and beast, you're getting like 400 bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get
not quite 1,000, obviously.
Yeah. I think the problem with the question off the fly is I can't do the deep dive math into it, right? Because like there is a significant difference in TP generation with job ability haste cap from fencer, with fencer and haste samba, with being magic haste and whatever, and how that affects like dual wields delay caps and how you're stacking like there is a calculation to be done there in terms of like efficiency min-maxing your TP generation with how dual wield is weird with delay. I think that the easy answer is that generally you dual wielding is going to be better and that you have 1,000 TP bonus. Like I think that like Corsair is a perfect example to look at this in, right? Because Corsair, between its options for TP bonus, Moonshade and the Attackos or whatever, having 1,000 TP bonus gun, you can basically do a 3,000 TP potency Savage Blade at like 1,100 TP or something like that. If you have Warcry up, you can technically do it at like 880 TP before you can even weapon skill. You have a 3,000 TP in equivalent damage, right? And so like the TP bonus is always going to be ridiculously potent. And so in those jobs like Bard that are going to be offhanding a TP bonus weapon, it's almost always better, right? Or Red Mage to just be able to do a max potency Savage Blade sooner.
I think I was misunderstanding the question. So the question is more like, I am subbing Dancer. Should I be offhanding a bonus, or should I just using a shield and utilizing fencer I think the fencer trait will always be worse. Offhand.
I think the case for fencer is for like warrior, right? Or like, something like that, where like you have a much higher base of fencer, and you're never going to be sub-jobbing a job that can dual wield. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's the biggest
this
part.
day and age, you're not going to be going warrior sub dancer nowadays, or warrior sub ninja. I think that like otherwise your TP generation is going to be much faster if you're sub dancer and you're dual wielding.
I think it's almost exclusive. If you're on a dual wield sub, then you're going to get more out of a weapon than
Yeah, so there's a couple things to take in mind, or to take into account for this for me. The first is with the dual wield sub, you can cap job ability haste with dual wield. But
Yep.
if you're relying on haste Samba from a sub job, you will not have capped haste because your haste Samba is only 5%. You need haste
Right.
Samba from a main dancer with merits if you want to cap like your job ability haste for fencer. Really the difference to me is fencer may TP a little bit slower if you have your if you don't have a dancer, like compared to dual wield, but you got to look at what you're gaining instead of it, right? If you're doing say or like content where you're running frequently, it becomes less of an issue because killing it in one weapon skill with your extra weapon skill damage that you're getting from your blurred shield, your sub dragoon, all that stuff is going to be more important than TPing a little bit faster because you're with enabling, you're doing 90% of your weapon skill or your damage with the weapon skill, right?
Not even to mention, if you're running around a lot, you're going to have to reapply haste Samba more often,
right?
on TP as well.
Right. And the other thing is like for jobs like warrior, more so than jobs like bard, accuracy is also an issue. If you're offhanding a non-item level weapon on warrior, you have access to like aggressor if you need to like offset the accuracy loss, but bard can like just put a madrigal on itself, so it has a little bit more cohesiveness with the dual wield offhand non-item level stuff than say warrior.
I think too, like when you're looking at the jobs that commonly do dual wield, right? Your bard, your core, your red mage, like their options for a shield, like shield in the offhand, are much more limited than their options for a dagger or
Right.
a sword or something like that.
Often abysmal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Many of the jobs that dual wield have like the accuracy native traits like Beastmaster. So they can overcome that. They have little other options to gain from, using a single-handed weapon. They're not going to get like a big fencer bonus. So those are all things to kind of keep in mind about how that gels all together.
This discussion might be different in like 3 or 4 years when people have access to full sets of gear with all that. But as of right now, it's hard to. I mean, like, there's a lot of scenarios where you might be being just as fast target to evade, then as well just defense. I do agree with that, but more often than not, the jobs that will be dual wielding and offhand TP bonus can easily offset the accuracy. And
Yeah.
even food alone usually covers the difference.
Yeah, if you have the ability to offset that accuracy, then dual wield can be really strong. It just depends on like what you're exchanging for it, right? So if you're gaining like, I don't know, 15% weapon skill damage, the ability to one-shot an Odyssey mob from your Blurred Shield +1 and Sub Dragoon, I would probably take that into content, considering you're doing a lot of running over.
But that's like what, like exclusive to Warrior and Dark Knight?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
right.
yeah.
It's really a finicky thing because Myth's totally right. If you're able to one shot, leaving it at 5 or 10%, that is worth the whole difference, even if you're lower. But it's such a finicky thing with, are the buffs this? Are the buffs soul voiced? Is everything perfectly aligned?
Yeah.
It's
And I think too, like that, not only that, there's so many factors in this game in terms of like where are you in your accuracy cap to be hitting the 97% accuracy or whatever. Where are you in, like, what eye level mobs are you fighting? What, there's so many factors. I, as a blanket statement, I would say almost like probably 90% of the time, to be fair, you're better off just like not trying to min max it, because otherwise you'd be setting up so many different equip sets for different scenarios. But
it's kind of why I don't like everyone reference simulator and saying this is perfect end all
right,
be all
yeah,
this, and it's the answer is always and it's a frustrating answer, but
Right.
if you want to accommodate for every scenario, you'll need a lot more thing sane person to be able to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's kind of a tough thing to give like blanket statements. Um I think a lot of jobs do really, really well with dual wield. I think the jobs that, well, I mean, primarily warrior does really good with fencer. I think
yeah,
for the most part, warrior is the only job that really, really leans into the fencer stuff outside of,
Yeah,
niche stuff like going sub dark knight for sortie or something like that.
yeah. Well, because
unironically,
warrior gets like what, fencer 5 or something
it does get
naturally, and
fencer
then
5, yeah.
with blurred shield, it's up to fencer whatever the cap is, the highest known value. Like
Well, not only
you can
that,
get, yeah,
warrior gets fencer 5, and then
and
in
war
addition
cry.
to that, gets the legs that give fencer +4 and TP
Yeah.
bonus, so it's like
Oh yeah, so they
Yeah.
can basically cap their fencer, and then they also have war cry, which is giving another 700 TP bonus. So like,
the fencer's
you know,
just with warrior, and you don't even need the Ikenga's axe top of
yeah,
that, like, if you're not doing savage blade, but you could be doing just 3Ks at all times out the
Yeah.
war cry. It's
Yeah,
really gross.
oh yeah,
definitely. I think either way could be strong. If I'm on warrior, I'm probably like, my ideal situation is using fencer with full potency haste samba. But that's
yeah,
obviously not going to be super common to come across.
I know
Um,
before your Muid and Booyah were really popular, um, like K Club, Dragoon was quite popular for, segment runs, and
yeah,
back then, most people sub Ninja, but Dragoon sub Dancer specific Haste Samba, because with the Wyvern, it perfectly capped the JA haste
oh
and all
yeah.
that.
yep,
Well, yeah, Dragoon especially gets so much job ability haste from empathy or whatever it is. There, I think like Dragoon and Dark Knight are the only jobs that actually can solo cap their job ability haste,
With like
right?
Desperate Blows as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. But Dragoon is the only one that can do it permanently.
Mhm.
Dark Knight has that downtime with Last Resort.
Yeah.
I do like that he's trying to like, what did he say? Optimize every job and how, it's not the best to throw a nagling on everything, but when you're doing so, like, how do you want to
Yeah.
min max it per job?
It was actually funny because I was Shiraz was watching me do Kalunga V25 last night on Rune Fencer. And that's how I found out that I never upgraded my Rune Fencer body past +1.
Oh hell yeah.
And I never play Rune Fencer. But I told Shiraz the difference between us, especially you and me, Dex, is that you and Shiraz like to min-max jobs and like squeeze out
Mm.
their full potential. And I like to put in the bare minimum effort in order to succeed. And
Well, it's kind of like Myth takes like he gets donated a paddle boat and he just throws it on the ocean and
yeah,
starts rowing,
yeah.
and the holes
Yeah.
start pouring water in. And he's like, "Oh, I have to patch that hole up."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I
me and
like
Siraj are
to,
like from
yeah.
scratch making a boat with like
Yeah. Meanwhile,
all the
what I
pipe.
like to do is I like to buy like a super boat, like some sort of crazy super boat. Like I like to like master a job from 0 job points to 2100 with like a stage 5 weapon and full rank 30 gear and like everything else, and just like
And you've
fully
never
kitted
played it
out.
before?
And then I never play it before, and then I never played again.
Hell yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just a trophy to put on the shelf.
Yeah.
Well, Ruined in particular, the only reason I geared it is because it was my very first +2 earring. And I was like, I guess I have to play this now. And like the only time I've really played it, ironically, is tanking Kalunga V25, because like that's the only
Right.
time that I really found it use for it. But not to say that Rune is a useless job. It's just that I have better stuff to do other stuff with.
Yeah.
So like it's not a job that I think about putting effort in very much. And I also like I do specific things to trigger some of my friends.
Mhm.
Like I think it's hilarious when some of my friends make fun of me for like my NQ staunch Stathlum, and they're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that you haven't gone and got a white box for your 0.5 resistance ranking
Yeah.
on your like ammo." Or sometimes like I'll, instead of capping HP on my ambuscade cape just to like piss off my OCD friends, I'll put like plus 78 HP on it. And it little things that make me happy, you know.
See, I do that too sometimes, but it's like by mistake. Like I only had four matters, and I forgot to do the last augment because I was like, oh, I'll do an ambuscade later, I'll finish it, and then I never do it. And then like
Just never
2
go
years
back.
later, 2 years later, I'm like, why the hell does my cape only have 8 PDL on it? That's weird.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you, Milo, for the email. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't know if
As
we
always.
answered the question or if we provided any insight there, but
Yeah.
just do whatever you want.
We definitely said some words that were based around what the question was. Whether or not we accurately answered it, we did our best.
I don't know if it
Right.
was satisfactory, but
If you just comment in the YouTube comments, say thank you for your insight, I will follow this blindly.
Yeah,
And then
that'd be perfect.
that's what
Yeah.
we're aiming for.
Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. I guess we can get into the topic of the day. Let me pull up my
Mith prepared a video for this.
definitely did not prepare a video for this.
Dude, can you imagine if we like did like a full like like remember back in we were watching World of Warcraft early stuff last night, and it was like remember Machinima where people would like record model viewer with green screen in the background and like piece together like a custom cutscene. We should do intros to every podcast topic with like a crazy ornate intro Machinima video. Does anybody
You
want
can
to
just
volunteer?
record me doing front rolls in the yard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Get as
I'll be
weird and
honest with
wild.
you, I wasn't paying attention to anything you guys just
Yeah,
said.
Dex just
Oh,
Dex
well,
just
thank you.
Myth just checked out. He's like, that sounds like extra work, and I will not be doing that.
Yeah, exactly. It
Mith
goes.
was cosplaying as our viewers.
Oh, sure, that sounds fun. Cool. So we're gonna be doing a tier list of relics today. And
Talking about the relics.
Yeah, so we're gonna be discussing the relics. This is our last line of Remo weapons to tier list.
Wow.
And then we've tier listed every
All
single
the remix.
yeah, until the Limbus weapons.
Oh, the
come
Limbus
out.
Remas.
Yeah, the Limbus Remas.
Which people are maybe being very like assumptuous, like with the idea that these are going to be Rima level weapons, but
They're going to be above that. They're underestimating.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. We're underestimating. These are going to displace all weapons.
Those primes
Damn.
you just worked on, stupid.
Yeah,
No way.
Crazy.
when we were spitballing about primes like being relics rolled into the other Rimas, that's actually what the Limbus weapons are going to be. So buckle in. You heard it here first, guys. Limbus weapons are the new thing. What's up?
The hint that it was going to happen was that you could get your NQ Limbus gear and then throw it in the furnace and augment it to bring it to +1. So now you can change augmented gear by combining with other stuff. So now you get to take your relic weapon, merge it with your prime weapon.
it'd be even crazier. What if you got like a blank Limbus weapon, and then you just traded any of the available Rimas that you have, and whatever stats are on the Rimas get traded to the Limbus weapon,
That's
regardless
what
of what
that's what
job.
I originally
Regardless of the job.
regardless of
Regardless of
job.
the
See,
job. Yeah.
my original theory craft for prime weapons was that like because the like flavor text on them is that they hunger for like souls. And I was like, what if we feed them like the relic weapon first and then the Empyrean and then the mythic, and they like just slowly take on the traits of each of those combined. And maybe that's what we get with Limbus weapons,
See,
is that they just
I was thinking more along the lines of like having a bird gang on on your
see that
offhand
would be cool.
for
You could put like
yeah.
your Burt gang offhand.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay, wait,
That'd be sick.
now that's cool. Oh, wait, hold on. Dardabla? Wait, sub bar Dardabla.
Yeah, sub bar yeah, exactly.
Holy
Now
shit.
we're
Wait, I'm getting
talking.
exciting. I'm getting excited about this.
Yeah.
It's gonna break the whole meta.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What if you could copy and paste your apocalypse stuff onto a greatsword and just
Wait,
have
fuck Dardabla. Sub bar Lunashed is the way to go.
Jesus. Now that we've like definitely talked out of our asses about what Limbus
Yeah.
is gonna look like, let's
Well, if we're gonna
Yeah.
talk about relics, the only weapons that actually are weapons that have soul.
oh yeah. Do they though?
Yeah,
I
every
think
relic weapon has a soul.
I thought
but
they were
aren't
fake though.
they?
They were
They're
fake.
fakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
The weapons themselves are fake, but they have a soul.
Mm.
Isn't that the whole point?
They're demon souls, right?
I think that's what it is. I'm sure like
Yeah.
Vicenarian's gonna come and be like, no, you didn't read the lore.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, hear me out though, guys. What was your first relic that you ever made?
I never made a
My
relic
first
until
relic,
back
Svarai.
in the game.
Svarai
It
was
doesn't
my
matter when you
first.
made it, Dex. Just
Oh, I mean like
Yeah.
that's first relic probably Annihilate.
so Annihilator and
Really?
Sfarai. Why did you make Sfarai
Yeah.
first, Heghmoh? That seems like a strange choice.
I came
Sparai's
back to
actually
the
kinda
game. And this was like before I'd even done Dynamis Divergence, and I really wanted to play Monk. I was like, Monk is like the coolest job in the game, and I'm gonna play it. And it was the only one that I had a capacity to make. Like I could have made Verith Ragna, but I was like, that seems like a lot of work. So I made Svarai as my first Rima. And I mean
What
it
was your
worked.
first
It paid off.
Rima?
Yeah, my first
Wow.
Rima in general. Yeah. My first Rima, my first relic. And I got recruited into a Dynamis. I think I told this story before. I got recruited into a Dynamis Divergence group that was shouting. And they were like, hey, we're doing Dynamis Divergence Bastock. We need one, a damage dealer. And I sent them a tell and I was like, hey, I can come on Monk. And halfway through the run, somebody like was like, hey, whoa, hold on. Why the fuck are 80% of our regular damage dealers getting outparsed by this Farai monk? And I was like, hell yeah.
And
And
it
then I went
only
on to
went
like,
downhill after that.
yeah. Yeah.
Monk is kind of like a slept on job right now though. I know like there's rumblings about you other but I think Monk overall is a lot better than people give it credit. People think, oh, Blonde too.
Yeah.
Pass on it. But Monk does really strong damage. Everything you can bring it in, really. Like I would take a Monk into a Limbus run.
Yeah,
Why not?
absolutely. I had a friend bring his monk into Limbus like last week with me, and then we did one tower, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna go stop using this Hoxie Impua. And I was like, okay. But yeah,
Unironically, when I came back to the game, my buddy who played a lot of jobs was like really decking out his monk, and he was saying how they had just changed it in 2018, 2019 -ish. The weapon skills work because monk was like a LOL job for a while.
Yeah,
and they had
they
built
retooled like the weapon skill. It's like one of the only times they did it, and it gave us all hope that they would eventually do it for Ranger and stuff like that. But they never did.
Yeah, it
But
was just for Monk.
yeah,
Well, I guess Pup too, but
yeah.
Yeah.
but he had all the Rimas and he was working Safari because like Safari's actually kind of pog because it doesn't do as much damage as say God Hands, but when you're solo, you can get your
The
Ranger
counter
build
buff, yeah.
absurd, and it does great damage even though it's incredible. I think before the Prime weapon, Final Heaven was like the only weapon skill that Monk that wanted to have weapon skill damage in the set. Like
Nice.
every other Monk weapon skill is multi-hit.
Oh yeah, yeah. So they want like multi-attack and stuff like that, because of the.
But I remember him making the
transfer.
Safari and he was very happy with it. And it was like a for fun toy.
Yeah. So what's special about Safari? Is there anything special about Safari still?
Counter. It has a crazy counter modifier. And if you're doing like a exclusive counter stance build, you can do some ridiculous damage with it, but that's about it. It's not really actually viable.
You get 14 counter from the trait on it, and you get 30% counter damage.
Yeah.
Okay. So
It's a lot of counter.
does that ever come up? Like, does it have a niche where, like, I suppose that would be pretty good for soloing, is my guess.
Yeah.
But is there anything beyond that? Like, just
No.
soloing? No. Just okay.
I would say in a modern sense, I've used Monk in a lot of places like Ultima Omega Master Trial for the hand-to-hand glowy lightsaber.
Okay.
And Monk typically is soloing one mob while the other people were focusing on the other mob. Usually Monk is on Ultima, and everyone else is focusing on Omega. And Monk is ultimately tanking. And I would assume in a modern sense, you can kind of just outpace it and do more damage than need be. God Hands, whatever, but I'm sure Shiraj would correct me because he knows the whole timeline, but Safari would probably be great, just tankier and counter more often, survive. If you want to like make the fight longer, but also
yeah, okay, that makes sense. So how do you guys? Well, I guess before we start rating things, we should kind of.
You asked us the question. You didn't answer your own question.
My first relic was Aegis.
Okay,
really?
Nice. Yeah.
Okay.
Paladin was and still is like really up there for me. Was my
and when did you get it?
When
did you get your Aegis?
I didn't get Aegis until I came back in like 2018.
Oh, okay.
My first Rima
That's
was
actually a really relevant question, right? Because Aegis is probably the most popular relic weapon, and it was the only relic weapon that most people made back in the 75 era. Like, not having an Aegis, but having a relic weapon was rare.
If you were a paladin, if Mith had said that he got it back in like 75 era, I was like, oh, so you made a link shell, you made them farm your currency and fund to you, and then you quit the game. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I actually, so what I did is, I joined a link shell and I romanced the link shell leader's wife.
Oh, nice.
No, I'm just kidding.
Hell yeah.
I could not afford a relic back in the day.
Yeah.
My first Remo was Ukon because Empyreans were the first thing that you could do like that weren't super gil intensive and stuff like that. When I came back to the game in like 2019, one of the first things I did was make Aegis because it was like always a dream of mine before I quit in the Void Watch days back when like relics became soloable. Me and a friend duoed his Apocalypse. Like we were in there on Beastmaster Subdancer and we were like doing the procs on Dyna and farming all the currency.
The Dreamlands.
Yeah. So we farmed his Apocalypse and we were like, yeah, we'll do my Aegis next. And then we both quit after doing his Apocalypse. We were like,
I feel like your story just now is like super relatable. Like most people have very.
Yeah. It's funny because he recently came back, and he played for like a couple months, and then he went to Bahamut and then quit playing. And I
What a
was like,
scumbag!
it's fine.
He didn't even stay to help you farm your Aegis. What a jerk!
I mean, we both fell off. Like it wasn't just him. And to be honest, like I don't blame either of us because doing that was terrible. So for in reference to tiering the relic weapons, it's kind of hard because these are the oldest weapons, right? I think we're gonna do our best to like treat them with a mix of like how they are in relation to the
Versus
other
how they
choices on
were.
this list, as well as like how they are like in current day. Because if they don't have any uses in the current day, we can't
Right.
we can't in good
Yeah.
conscience rate them high.
I feel like the tiers are kind of a lot more divided in this category than in other categories where, like, say, prime weapon, the tiers are really close to each other, even though we have to, like, put them in different letter grades. They're almost very close to each other. In
Right.
this, it's like an S is, like, how many miles ahead of a B, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's gonna be unfortunate because I always find it strange like when I was looking back on our Prime video and we were talking about some of the stuff that we put in B and people like were upset that we put it in B and I was like that's still really good. Like
Yeah.
an
Look, you're
A
still
or B on
passing.
Prime is still really good. It doesn't mean that like it's not good. It's just not we don't see it as impactful as the other pieces. Um, whereas this one, if it's a B, it sucks, and if it's an S, then you should be ashamed if you don't have it.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's kind of what we're going for.
At least how I mapped it, how I, like, planned it in my head, the stuff I would put in B, I don't think sucks, but is, like, for fun or neat. And then after that, it kinda just falls off.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So we talked about Safari. Where would you guys rate Safari?
Safari, I would put it in the middle, like, almost in the middle of everything.
So like B?
Yep.
Is that where you think it's a
Yeah.
fun thing to have, but it's not really necessary?
It's not necessary. It's fun to have for a monk enthusiast or a monk specialist. It is something that can see
Heghmoh, you sounded hesitant about that. What's your
Yeah, I
opinion?
mean, I as somebody that plays a lot of monk, there's, even when I have Safari, there's very, very few instances where I'm like, oh, my game will be improved by changing to Safari. Um, it's iconic, but like, I mean, I can put it in B. I'm gonna take a rare like reversal of my normal tendency to just try to inflate the things that I like. Um, and I would say I might bump this down to C later, even as a monk main, but
I
yeah, we
think
can
that's
put it
fair
like average right now.
because
Hmm.
the way I have it in my head is, it's kind of middle of the pack, but the stuff that's right around it could float into a lower tier, but then, like, all the other stuff that's below it kind of float down even further.
Okay.
I think where you're coming from Monk is more so, like, in the modern era of how we approach things. If you're gonna bring Monk to something, put on the stronger weapon and punish it really
Yeah.
quickly to die rather than, outlive it or counter it.
So here's a question. Because I think and feel free to supply your input for this as well. But I think in my experience that relic weapons are often one of the first rimas that a new player approaches, just because they're easier in the sense that you basically just need gil for them. There's
Yes.
Yeah.
very little like in-game like time gates or like really hard things that you need to get past. It's just gil, which obviously is its own thing to deal with. But I feel like the relics are some of the first rimas that a newer player approaches. So do you think
What you were
Sfara?
hinting at
Mhm.
with the other than the money is the nostalgia factor. People come back to the
Mm,
game
mhm.
and that is the weapon they
Yeah.
remember.
It's true.
And well, it's also like, especially if you're coming back from like the original 75 era and you're like, wait, I can make a relic? I can
And
just
it's
make
easy.
one? Yeah.
I can just buy one for like not
Yeah.
the crazy amount of work. Yeah. Do you think that Sfara is good for a newer player?
I think if a new player is, I'm a monk and they're going around and doing the story and doing whatnot. Monk is kind of a job where you have to really gear it to teeth for it to like be wrong. It's kind of like a lot of other off where I was arguing that Monk isn't in a good spotlight right now, even though I think it's a wrong job. And because of that perception, you have to really excel at it to make people pick you over someone else or some other job. But in the interim of that, like a new player getting from A to B, I think Sfari is very approachable and will service you really well until you get like God him.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I
Now,
wonder, I don't
when
know enough like about like I haven't really played with it too much, but I wonder like where does Sfari from a pure damage or from like a pure solo perspective, Sfari versus Karambit, like where does it stack
I
up
think
in terms
Karambit's
of
probably close or maybe a little bit ahead.
hmm.
I'm not break the
When I think
Sims out.
about it though, like you don't need to like farming a pulse for a new player is often like my link shell gave it to me or I don't
Yeah.
have it at all.
Yeah.
Um at least on Asura, because there's services, you can buy an Aeonic relative player.
That's true.
You can
Like
you can
you could
buy
probably buy an Aeonic for the same or less than you could get a relic in a lot of cases.
yes,
Yeah.
that's what kind of what I was getting at. So like
Yeah.
you can get the relic very easily. There's no like barrier to entry, or you could join a link shell that's going to do an Aeonic run, or just buy one outright. Um,
Yeah, on Shiva, we just give Aeonics away. You join the Heghmoh Discord and you talk to the right people and they're like, yeah, okay, I'll give you one.
well,
We're
realistically, I
doing a
think that
run.
kind of thing is great. Like for joining a link shell to learn how content works, then get your first Rima or an
I
Aeonic.
actually just started a new method of Aeonic acquisitions that I tested out the last
All
two
pet
that I
shop.
made. So what I'll do is I'll pick out an Aeonic that I want, and then I'll invite one person to go do the Aeonic run with me. And I'll be like, hey, you can get this free Aeonic, but in exchange, you have to farm the Warder of Courage pop and you have
Oh,
to do the
nice.
incursion stuff. So
Yeah.
I'll do
Respect.
everything else, but the two
Yeah.
things that I don't want to do, you have to go do, and it works out really well for me.
I
Yeah, that's
mean,
not a bad trade,
Yeah,
that is the
honestly.
most time-consuming part of it.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I think
I tell people all the time, and like not too many people have taken me up on this because I don't really advertise it, but I'm like, dude, if I have to stand where you pop NMs and kill them, I'll do it no problem. But if you ask me to like collect the pops and run back and forth and exchange pop items and stuff repeatedly, I'm not gonna do that. But like if you just if you build all the pops, I'll fucking kill everything all day.
yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah.
I think you need to change your stipulation of I will do all of this for you if you just get me the Warder of Courage pop. I think you should add two things to that. I think you should A, you must subscribe to my channel, and B,
Yeah.
you
Well, of
must
course.
tell people that this guy's really awesome and he helped me
Mhm.
from my Ionic.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I don't want to get too close to the bordering RMT line that some people
Mm.
straddle, where it's like, hey, if you spend these points in my
Yeah, just put
channel,
it in
then
channel
yeah,
points. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
just put it in channel points.
That's kind of sus. But anyway, moving back to the topic at hand. Our next weapon that we have up is Mando. What do you
Oh
guys think
man,
about
now.
Man
Mando?
down.
So I recently had a run in with some Mando um what's the word that I'm thinking of?
Enthusiast?
Yeah, Mandao enthusiast. That's a good word. And I'm not
Right.
gonna say I don't want to out him on live podcast, but it was Vire, and
Okay.
I don't want to put anybody like to on the spot, but it was Vire. And
Yeah.
anyway, basically some people in my Discord were talking about Gartel and how they were struggling with Gartel. And Vire's suggestion was to make 4 Mandaus
Oh, wow.
to switch up some like weapon skills. And
Wow.
I don't even know exactly how the conversation started, but I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So anyway, I yelled at him a bit and I was like, don't tell new players to fucking make a bunch of Mandaus to kill fucking Gartel. That's ridiculous. And then because of that, I'm putting Mandau in D personally. Not
Nice.
anything like based on facts or anything like that. I'm just I was just annoyed
I'm
about
all
Mandau.
for dunking on Vire, but pre Impugandring the Prime Dagger, I think Mandau is actually quite a strong weapon. There was a lot of V25 clears early on that utilized Mandau and either having usually having the red mage as piercing.
Oh, right.
Typically, red mage using it as a piercing option was stronger than having red mage alert.
Okay.
I think Mercy Stroke is solid. You know, it's a range dagger weapon skill, and that but the dagger itself is fine. It's not exceptional. I think it's similar to Farai in power level. It has niche uses or had niche uses in terms of either breaking up weapon skill walls or providing jobs that are on it different avenues for damage, mainly red mage. But in the modern sense, it's kind of fallen off. And it wasn't very high to fall off from in the first place.
Yeah. Like even like with the newer daggers coming out, like it was still niche. It was still like, this is a situation where you're going to be not using a sword or a club. You have to have piercing damage on like a job that you normally wouldn't use piercing damage, because Thief just has better options. So I don't think it's terrible on Thief, is it?
No. But like it's hard to in the world where you have access to all the tools, like if we take even primes out of the picture, it's hard to sell a Mandau to a thief. They could get an anus or even just
I mean,
for
like,
it.
Yeah. I know people don't like to do Twashtar because it's a pain in the ass, but like, you know, even that's such a big jump forward.
Yeah. Just Twashtar is such a pain in the ass that I've been sitting on 50 Glaboid shells and I still haven't started. I just got it. I got them from login campaign like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And they've just been
Mandau to me definitely feels more like a red mage or bard alternative tool to break up weapon skill walls, have something else that they can.
Right. So
Is
what would you
Thief
guys
even used
do
in a
with...
game? No.
Oh, sorry. What was that, Heghmoh?
The question in chat was, is Thief even used in endgame?
No, it's not.
No. I have heard some like pro Thief commentary from people that I trust recently, and it's like that Thief is definitely like a Heghmoh coded job, and that everybody hates it across the meta. And I'm like, I should be enthusiastic about like becoming a crazy strong thief based on my like track record. But even I'm like, nah, Thief kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's a Heghmoh coded job, and meanwhile you're playing warrior and fucking all the meta jobs and
of course.
So Mandau...
Raj in chat is saying that Mandau's weapon skill got nerfed at some kind of funny.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I would put it in low B just because I think there are much worse weapons that either just are terrible and don't do anything at all, or B didn't have a spotlight point in time period where this kind of had a brief period where it was useful for some fights.
Yeah, I could see that. I do remember when I first came back to the game in 2019, and the very first Omen run I did was with Funkwork, actually. And he brought a Mandau Thief to Omen, and back in my Ambuscade +2 like bailed gear days, he was tearing shit up comparatively. So
I think one of the things that hurts Mandau the most is no one wants to end poison anything. Just have a better end effect.
Yeah.
Like all these weapons have cool end effects like defense down or evasion down. Should have had something cooler.
Yeah. I think B for now is okay. Though it'll probably drop lower on the B scale as
I
it's
mean,
going.
You're letting me kind of influence your opinion. When all is said and done and we look at this tier list and everyone's like, yeah, but everything else from this point on is utter trash and everything goes in D tier, then what am I gonna say?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have to save my battles because like sometimes arguing with you just isn't worth it, and you gotta pick and choose your battles with Dex, you know.
You just gotta go, okay, yeah, sure, and then you just put it where you want anyway.
Mile and not.
That's why Heghmoh's and your tier lists aren't actually canon, only mine is.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
Yeah, whoever gets to put it up on the official podcast is the one that gets saying. Yeah, no, it's crazy. Somebody just said in chat, the stat modifier on Mercy Stroke is 80% strength. That makes absolutely no sense.
It's a lot of strength.
That makes no sense for a thief that's not going to be stacking strength in general. But
yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Like it's not really a thief or even a dancer weapon. It's not on it. But like it's not even like a thief coded weapon. It's definitely more of a bard or red mage fun toy.
Right. Okay. So moving on to the next one, we have Excalibur. What do you guys think?
Well,
Excalibur.
Excalibur is one of those that like I feel like had a resurgence. It was crazy strong back in the day, and then it fell off for a long time, and like recently with Dubon, it's come back, right?
Yeah. So right now it's primarily used for Ammonon.
Yeah.
It has some niche uses outside of that. It has some good skill chain properties that Sword doesn't have in other places. So you can do like some cool self skill chaining on red mage if you're doing solo, but primarily it's used by Paladin for Ammonon to do a little bit of damage and break up the weapon skill wall.
I think ultimately it would be much more popular weapon if Nagling didn't exist, because the damage it puts out is pretty impressive, and the light property, like you can go Knight of Round into most other things to make light, like Knight of Round and Savage Blade, or I think 2 Knight of Rounds alone is light.
Yeah. It actually does do pretty good damage, especially because it does not scale with TP, so you just fire it off at 1k. And considering that on Paladin, you gain TP pretty slow. It's pretty painful to hold up to like 1700 to 2k TP for like a Savage Blade. It's pretty strong, but
correct me if I'm wrong. All relic weapon skills don't scale with TP. Fire them off at 1k.
Is that really? Sounds about right. Is that the case? I didn't know that. Nice.
Does Metsu scale with TP? I can't remember off the top of my head. It might not. Let's see. No, it does not. Cool.
Yeah. The thing about Excalibur is that like I think every time I look at Excalibur, I am reminded of all the different things it does. It's like I feel like it has so many effects on it that it stands out in a lot of ways compared to all the relics. Like, and a lot of things that are relevant. Like even the aftermath of having refresh and a crazy amount of regen on it. The
comes in handy, man.
The additional damage that's just 25% of your current HP as an additional effect. The block rate, the fact that Knights of the Round's a decent weapon skill. It just has like a lot of different things that it does that make sense for Paladin.
Yeah, the Excalibur was actually the very first relic I saw in person. Back when I don't know, this was probably back in 2006 or 2007, and I was running through Roland Berry, and this was back when like I was level 30, and I checked everybody that I came across because I was interested.
Yeah.
And so I checked this guy that was running through on a chocobo, and I saw an Excalibur, and I was like, what is that? And I had to Google it. Then I found out, that was how I found out about relic weapons. I was like, oh my
Like,
God.
what the hell is this?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Unironically, I think I have the same experience where the first relic weapon I ever saw was an Excalibur, but I was running through that tunnel in Kufim from Port Juno.
Oh, dang.
I think they were probably hunting King Behemoth, but I was too newbie to know what that meant.
You know
What's
what
funny is,
I always forget is that Red Mage can wear Excalibur.
Oh, yeah, for sure. When me and Shiraj did the 2-man Unafraid of the Dark, utilized the shit out of.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think Excalibur is kind of cool in that before the relic weapons existed, it was in the game, but it was not the same weapon.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the DAT files as something to fish up, like to be like lore accurate.
Oh, and nobody ever got it, right?
No one ever ended up getting it before they removed it.
The rumor was something with like King Arthro and being able to fish it up when he was something like that.
That's one of those iconic like Final Fantasy 11 stories that might not even be real. The devs could have just made it up.
Oh yeah.
All right. So where would you guys put Excalibur?
Due to its history and how it's become powerful even in modern day, like still an option that you would use over Nagling, over modern relic Rima weapons, I put it in A.
I would put it in A too, yeah.
Yep, I agree with that. A is good. It has uses. It is not as impactful as some of the other stuff on this list, but it is really, really strong in a lot of scenarios.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think when you just look at the barren tier list we have right now of 3 weapons, it very clearly is in a different tier than the other.
All right, this is unfortunate because we are past this weapon's heyday, but the next one was very, very popular when I came back to the game and had a long streak of being really strong, and that is Ragnarok.
Ragnarok. That was my second Rima. Was
Oh,
Ragnarok.
you have one. Interesting.
I missed out.
Yeah.
Why
I missed out on the Ragnarok.
I came back in that era when it was like that was how you did so much content. It was like this idea of the like auto attack build warrior where you just like put on Ragnarok and you just spam out. You put up your aftermath and you just keep wailing.
I was told that with Ragnarok, LOL Scourge still never used outside of Aftermath, and spam resolution with this weapon.
Yep. Spam resolution. You put up Scourge for the 10% crit rate and everything, and then you just spam Rezo.
And Rezo did like crazy bonkers damage before it got adjusted.
My favorite thing about Ragnarok is the people that come back to the game and they see like R15 only shouts, and then they look up like how to gear warrior and they find an outdated guide that shows Ragnarok in it.
Yeah.
And then they also don't know that Scourge is a bad weapon skill, so they bring Ragnarok and then they spam Scourge on stuff. I've had that happen a couple of times in like Ambuscade and Odyssey segments and stuff. And
I've had this happen in Limbus.
You had that happen in Limbus.
So a Dark Knight joined my shout, and we get in, and then I see Scourge go down. I'm like, what is happening? And they proceeded to basically flop a wet noodle on everything while we just carried them.
Oh yeah,
it's very fun.
That's great. Oh man.
It was back in the day. I mean, because it had like crit hit rate plus 14% or something like that.
That's enormous.
Plus,
even by today's standards.
yeah. Well, that was like the enhances critical hit rate V5 is 14%, and then Scourge is another 10% with the aftermath. So like
and
you
then
have
the max augmented crit
24%
damage as
crit hit
well.
rate, and then you're doing more crit damage. So it was like the whole idea was that, like, coming from Monk, warrior and resolution spam was like sold to me as like, oh, this is Monk, but you're a warrior. And that was like so cool because like all your damage was coming from white damage. The damage that you did with resolution was inconsequential because you were just like constantly chopping away, doing crazy crits.
Not for nothing, but I think one of the biggest selling points of Ragnarok was the fact that, unlike a lot of relics that have like a fat amount of attack, Ragnarok had 60 accuracy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, which was a big deal when Dyna D was new, and you needed that accuracy for wave 3 really, really bad.
Especially if you're using a multi-hit weapon skill like Solution.
And plus the aftermath had another 15 accuracy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, that being said, where is Ragnarok used today, guys?
It isn't.
Not at all.
We just spent 5 minutes talking it up and talking about how great it is. So tell the viewers when they can use this.
I think it's all relevant.
A big golden two-handed sword. If you like the way that Helheim looks, it's cooler because it's golden. Honestly, I think this is one of those that just looks really cool, but that's about it.
To that point, I think like every single relic weapon is a cooler look prime weapon because it's just colored in. You gave the prime weapon to your kid and handed them some crayons, and they said, "This looks great."
Oh, yeah. So if there's no uses for it today, which honestly I would tend to agree with, I would think that even the Relic, or not Relic, sorry, what's the Algol from a Montante?
Oh,
that's the one I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Montante,
Montante plus one.
I'd rather use that than this.
Yeah, or the Agu's great sword. Pretty much like clear this. Where would you guys?
Where you and me might disagree, but because it was good at one point and it's now no longer good, I would put it in C tier. Whereas for me, D tier is this weapon was never good.
That's fair. I would put it in C. I think that's fair.
Okay, I'll accept that argument. We'll go ahead and throw it in C tier. And next up,
are you having fun playing with your friends?
We have
Skipper Billy Snack.
Well, tell Scoopy I also want to snack. Next,
think about banana. I'm excited.
Don't move him like that.
On a podcast. We're recording right now.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, she's been having juice all day.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that you told me before we started recording that you guys were gonna get super drunk today.
Yeah.
What a champion.
Fantastic. So next up we have Guttler, which is the Beastmaster axe.
Guttler talks to you and wants blood. Guttler needs blood.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I don't know much. As somebody who's a Beastmaster enthusiast, I don't know anything about Guttler.
So when you go into the campaign battle and the Mithra chick who summons 2 rocks that she'll fight the beastman along with you with pet rocks, she has a Guttler, and in the chat log the Guttler talks, not her. The Guttler's like, need blood, give me blood.
Yeah. Guttler is actually really cool. I'm kind of surprised that you don't know about it. In fact, I think Aimer gets too much credit for its CP bonus for pets, and I think Guttler doesn't get enough credit because Guttler is one of the few ways that you can boost pet attack. The aftermath gives pet attack plus 10% and attack to the master plus 10%.
I think it was just last episode where I was ignorant and I made claims about pets where I said, look at these items. It says attack plus 10 pairs. You guys were like, that's a lot, idiot.
Yeah, it's just pet attack is hard to come by. Like all the pet gear has accuracy on it. and very, very little of it has like attack and like meaningful stats. Um, so like in my opinion, I think Gutler is kind of cool. I unfortunately the pet attack doesn't matter that much because pets are so fucking
Yeah.
weak that like
Yeah.
the 10% attack isn't enough to distinguish itself compared to other stuff.
Mm.
For me coming up, people always told me that the 10% was like extremely powerful and relevant. It might have been that case years ago. But to
Well,
me, like
it
when I look at it,
it was
go ahead.
relevant back when like the tiger was used, because the
Yeah.
tiger has weapon or has ready moves. I believe it's the tiger and not the griffin or the hippogriff that has TP moves that don't scale with TP. So the attack is really strong. Was really strong.
Well, also like before like a certain point in the game, anything with a pet modifier on it, like it was few and far between.
True.
So to have like a Rima quality weapon with something that buffed your pet in any way was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, to me, like, I look at attack plus 10 or attack plus 15 pet stat, and I'm like, that's not a lot. But when I look at attack plus 10% in my brain, like, the pet might have like 1200 attack and plus 10% is 20. Wow.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely I can't say definitely because I don't know 100% off the top of my head, but I'm fairly sure that's the most pet attack that you can get.
Whoa.
For
Nice.
Beastmaster.
We speak in
Did
absolute here on the Word podcast.
Did anybody ever have a Gutler? Like, how would this have ever been made in the 75 era?
I
I
could talk
I
my
knew one
static
person.
mate who is a obsessive.
I knew one Japanese player that made a Gutler in the 75 era. And it was always cool because like he was the one Japanese player that hung out in our English speaking wing shell, and everybody I can't remember his name, but everybody just called him I think it was like Luffy or something from short like that from an anime. Everybody just called him Luffy Sama. And whenever he showed up like to events, everybody would like get super excited because the Japanese guy showed up and all that fun stuff.
As a One Piece fan, the way you said that name gives me great pain.
Yeah, I don't care.
No.
Plus it's really fucking cool looking. It's really cool.
Yeah, it is cool looking.
I
The only thing cooler than Gutler is Spalarisos, because Spalarisos is fucking busted.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think Gutler is probably one of, if not the best looking relic.
I was going to say, is Onslaught actually a good weapon skill, like for what it's worth? Or is it just whatever?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't think it's that strong, but I could be corrected on that.
Because in my brain, like, Gutler is a stat stick that you don't weapon skill with it, but I could be wrong.
I'm sure it would be fine with like a TP bonus offhand using Mistralax. Just like every other Beastmaster
I
axe.
see.
There's not really any good weapon skilling Beastmaster axe outside of the Prime. Like even Farsha doesn't feel very good, but that's just my opinion on that one.
It's fair.
To me, I would probably put Gutler on the B category ahead of Mando.
I also put it in B category, but on the lower end, because I think Beastmaster in the modern sense, if it's going to augment its pets' weapons, rather immerse. There's so few scenarios, if any, nowadays where, like you were saying with the tiger back then, those don't really come up the way that.
Right. They're very, very rare for sure.
But I do think it's still niche, unique in that it still provides a benefit for some pets that you can't get elsewhere. If you're a beast enthusiast, it's something you'll want to have in your arsenal for those scenarios. It can't be replicated. Nothing is stronger than it at what it does. So that's why I put it in B over C.
Yeah, that's fair. What do you think, Heghmoh?
I'd agree. I'd agree with that. I mean, somebody said something in chat about Gutler Riddle, and I'm like, man, imagine being that beast back in the day. I just can't get over that. Like,
But being that
imagine
beast back in
getting
the
to
day, you're
be,
the talk of the
yeah,
town.
a 75 era beast. First of all, like if I saw a Beastmaster in like upgraded artifact and relic, I'd be like, holy crap, this guy is a sociopath, but I want to
So
be
what
him.
would that Beastmaster wear back then? Like Armada Hauberk and that whole set, like the super
Yeah.
deck version.
Yep.
Has
But
a
yeah,
speed
having a
belt,
Gutler and a Riddle, crazy.
Hell yeah.
or was it Sonic Belt +1 was the crazy one back
Oh
then?
yeah.
Oh man. Now we're getting off into the crazy
Sorry.
bits. No, you're fine. After Gutler, we have Bravura.
Oh
What do you
boy.
Okay.
guys think about Bravura, and why is it bad?
Metatron Torment.
And why is it bad? Megatron Torment.
Yeah, this is when they didn't know what they wanted Warrior to be yet. You know what I mean? Like it has like a tank leaning, like the DT20, which is insane back in the day.
For sure.
Regen 15 Aftermath. I don't know. There's some cool stuff to that, but like I think it just doesn't make sense in how Warrior has ended up.
I have
Yeah.
watched Horizon streamers use this weapon, and it's strong there, but I have to assume they've buffed, because to all memory, this weapon
What was the last bit to memory of this weapon? What?
to all memory, this weapon has always been bad. Like, it hasn't served a purpose or been used.
Yeah, I don't know. I vaguely remember it being useful with the aftermath and the effect of the evasion down from Metatron, and making warriors much sturdier because 20
Yeah.
DT was huge. That being said, for the current day stuff, I think this weapon primarily suffers because it's a great X.
Yeah.
Like grid axes are not well balanced right now. They have a lot of, outside of the prime weapon skill and Chango, great axes are not strong. They're primarily utility weapons in with
For,
very
like,
very little
armor
damage
break.
output. Yeah, exactly. So like I could see no reason to make this weapon as a new player, let alone like in a niche that you could actually apply it to.
Yeah.
Well, since it's a warrior-only weapon, and warrior has the niche of having access to all the good stuff, it's, like, so
Right.
down on the list. Recommend that it's just not even, like, in the talks at all.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because like if the 20 DT isn't even relevant anymore with how much
Yeah,
DT
because
is
you,
available
you
to
you're
warrior.
never gonna be under DT capped, like if you're playing Warrior in a real sense. So um yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, there is some cool stuff on it. Like the rank 15 augment is double attack damage plus 10%, which like, you know, with how Warrior plays, I could see having some little effect like that plus suck Pata's head and everything else where you get double attack damage. It's just that it's like where we're talking about Paladin, like everything on Excalibur is like, holy crap, this is amazing for Paladin. Where it's like it's got regen and refresh and block rate and whatever else. And then this is all these pieces individually are kind of cool, but they don't make any sense for Warrior in combination. So, I just wish that like whenever I look at the relics, I'm like, man, imagine if they had taken more notes from the relics into the primes. Imagine if Lafria had DT to 20% or something like that.
That'd be cool.
Like that would be fucking awesome. But
I do agree with you that I wish that the prime weapons were more analogous to what their relic counterparts.
Yeah.
From a lore perspective too.
It seems like the first set of Remos we got, they really wanted to like do something unique with the
yeah,
characters or with the jobs to a degree, and then they took that a step further with the mythics, And then after that, they were like, no, let's just do damage from now on.
Yeah. Well, I think that like you have to imagine that the first time they did relics, like these are the ultimate weapons in the game.
Right.
So like they probably put a lot of effort into like making them really unique and really specific to how they affected the jobs that could use them and all this other stuff. And then by the time, mythics were the second round, so they leaned into it even more. And then they're like, oh crap, how many of these are we gonna have to build? I can't keep creating unique effects. Let's just put some damage modifiers on that thing and call it a day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of a bummer, to be honest.
Yeah.
Fuck.
In a world where a brand new player
We're
comes
talking
back,
about Bravura. Where do you guys rank Bravura?
well, in a world where a brand new player comes back, I want to make a relic weapon because relic is cool, and I wanted one always. Hey, you would never recommend the Bravura, the Ragnarok. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
on this tier list where we have Ragnarok in measly C tier, the Bravura easily belongs.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. Bravura is the last Rima that I haven't made for Warrior, and I've been kind of like
Gonna
thinking
stay that
about
way.
making
Really?
it for
Wow.
a long time now. And
That's my Glonsfoss. I need to suck it up and make Glonsfoss one day for
Oh,
Monk.
yeah.
But
Ouch, that's a rough
There you
one.
go.
at
Without
least Glonsfoss
spoiling,
look really cool.
true, very true. Without spoiling, you think that Bravura is the worst relic?
No.
No.
Wow. Okay. I don't either. So that's
Yeah. Actually, the worst relic is actually next, and we have
So did we put Bravura in D? Is
yeah,
that
yeah.
is that
yes,
we're in
sir.
D?
I don't feel good about that, but I can't
Yeah.
I can't think of a valid argument to get it out of D, personally.
The warrior in you is crying.
Yeah, I mean, like it's cool though. Like it tries to do cool stuff. It just fails at it.
Sure does.
So, speaking of the worst weapon on this list, we have Apocalypse up next. So what do you guys think
The
about
worst weapon.
Apocalypse? Yeah.
For the longest time, in my brain, like maybe like the first year or two of me back to 11,
Mhm.
I was like, Apocalypse is the best relic. Easily so bust.
Mhm.
It
is
heals
really strong.
you, it gives you JA haste or gear haste or whatever. It has rain boost. The quintessential weapon. But I think that's really a skewed opinion based on how it was back in the day. I think it was way better at 75. There's all those
Yeah.
iconic videos of people getting all the buffs and putting Apocalypse on and like attacking at crack clubs with it.
Oh yeah, breaking the haste cap back in the day.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, that was
feel
pretty
like
iconic.
it has a value. And I think it's really good for newer players. One, it gives you the ability to
absolutely.
skill chain with a scythe, and it's very, very good for survivability and utility because catastrophe gives you
Catastrophe is
HP.
still awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
The only thing better than Catastrophe is Origin, but
Yeah, so my problem with it is one, it's on Dark Knight.
Yep.
And most
we know how you feel about Dark Knight.
mostly it's on Dark Knight. So unfortunately for me, it's gonna have to be a D tier.
Oh no.
So
Yeah.
the acronym for Dark, how would you say that?
The acronym for
Dork?
Dork Knight.
Dork? Yeah.
Yeah.
The Dark
Yeah,
Haters. Sorry,
potentially.
guys. I mean, look, Catastrophe is I would put it on par with Excalibur. Like I think that the only thing that it had a huge amount of utility up until recently. The only reason it stopped having utility is because the Origin exists.
Yes and no. I still think so. Say if we take the argument that we like or don't like Knight out of the whole picture, right?
Which isn't realistically gonna happen, but go on.
Yeah.
If Dark Knight is a good job again, how about this? you wouldn't use this in like a top tier scenario because Origin on what is the weapon called? Phonaria?
Phonaria.
Yeah.
I like how you
Phonaria.
don't even know what Phonaria is called. That's crazy.
I got it. Before you corrected me, I got it.
Yeah.
That it's just basically a better version of this weapon in
Yeah.
every way.
I think
It
that like
restores MP.
outside of like a few like niche things like the haste on the aftermath, which you don't really even need on
Well, I was going to say the
on
drain potency.
yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. Drain potency on the R15 and everything.
So like if
But
I were to
like
whip out my Dark Knight, I would still carry this around even though I don't use it anymore as a drain.
well,
But I'm sure someone's gonna
doesn't
correct
it
me and
get
say
beat?
Father Time is
No, it gets beaten by the Shinryu scythe.
Yeah, but that's
Does
not
it?
real. Like it's anytime
My Dark Knight has one. I have a crepuscular scythe.
yeah, but that's bringing in crepuscular gear
Crepuscular
is
Scythe doesn't give drain.
It's how you break the HP cap, isn't it?
No, Crepuscular Scythe gives dread spikes.
Oh, but yeah, you still get
okay.
that's how you break the HP cap with a drain, right?
No?
Or with HP, oh whatever, however it works. I guess yeah, with drain specifically, but
Yeah, but regardless, like using a crepuscular scythe with a 0.1% drop rate is like not. I don't know that doesn't seem like a valid argument to me.
The Myth is like, why talk about Crepuscular Scythe or any crepuscular item when they're basically Bonanza weapon?
Yeah, they kind of are. Like if we're being completely honest, I kind of agree with that take, but I don't know. But anyway, Apocalypse D tier, right? Did we agree on that? Or...
No. I think Apox is
Heghmoh
like
says
an
A.
Yeah.
You say D. I think it's a B tier, but like the tippy top of it used to be an A tier weapon,
right.
and I think it's on.
If I think okay, to your argument though, like if you're a and I know that your answer is gonna be I would tell them not to play Dark Knight. But if you're a returning player and you're like, I want to play Dark Knight,
I'm not gonna tell them.
This is like one of the like I would be like, oh, make an APOC because like it's probably one of the easiest, most accessible ones. It's gonna add a lot of survivability. You'll be able to use it and do decent damage for a long time. I think that this has like still current utilization until you can replace it with a prime weapon.
So
if you've made the mistake of returning to the game as a Dark Knight and you don't have any friends who are nice enough to correct you, then yes, I do believe it's probably your best option. Unironically, like it's probably as good as most Rima's scythe category because scythes have been notoriously poor until the prime, and then the only other option would be to make a the what is it called? One that does torque lever. I can't remember its name.
Oh, Calibulg.
Caligulg.
So the trolling Dark Knight aside, I think what you said, Heghmoh, is correct. But I think that the exact argument that we made is the same thing that we said about Sfarai. This is just a little bit better and more effective than Sfarai. So to me, top of B makes sense because I think it is a good option for new players. I don't think it stays as relevant the deeper you get into the game as Excalibur does.
Yeah, but at the same time, I would say it'll stay relevant exponentially longer than Sfarai will.
Sure.
I would put this on like sure, like because of Ammonon, Excalibur has an edge, but aside from that, like you won't be using Excalibur for much else in between.
I've had people use Excalibur in like sortie runs and other stuff, just as like a weapon
I've
skill
had
that's a skill
people.
chain.
I've had Dark Knights bust out like before Phonaria existed, like near wipe on a Omen boss or a Raisenjima NM, and like everybody died. The Dark Knight clutch switched to Catastrophe and saved the run by just solo healing themselves and doing weapon skill damage.
I mean, that's
So
cool.
it's like there are applications where it's been a really great weapon that has like served a purpose for a long time.
I do think it's really cool, and it's a niche that no other weapon on the list for relics kind of like it does something very unique.
And I think that
know,
like
I'm-
just
I'm-
from a class fantasy perspective, like you have this weapon that's like Dark Knight, this edgelord that's always dying, and they finally have this thing that's like that just absorbs
Contains
HP
them.
from the weapon skill. It's a cool lore element as well.
Whether we put it in A- or B+, I still think it's the same argument. But I do agree that it's stronger than the other things B.
Yeah.
If you want to leave it in low A, I think that's leave it in high B.
Okay. We'll split the difference.
Well, we all know that Myth has it in D on his spreadsheet, but I'll put it in A, low A on mine.
we already said that mine's the only one that's canonical. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I'll split the difference and put it in.
Well, Myth was putting in D for for Dark Knight. D for Dark.
D for Dark Knight.
Yeah, of course.
I'll split the difference and I'll put it in D. Okay.
Got it.
I think top of B or bottom of A is. I think either one is fine. Okay, moving on. Gungnir. What do you guys think about Gungnir?
Gungnir. When a Volt enemy has it, it's fucking terrifying. Any other instance, it's whatever.
Goddamn, I wish that if you use this weapon, you had 100% proc rate shock spikes on you for 10 seconds. God, that'd be awesome.
That would be really cool. Unfortunately, that'll never happen. It feels okay. Let me ask this, because we already know like how it is in modern day. How is it at 75 era? Do you guys know? Do you have any experience with it?
At 75 era, Dragoon was kind of a joke. People take you seriously.
Yeah, true. Lol Dragoon era.
Yeah, that's very true. I knew a guy that was like buying immense amounts of gil over a year or two to make one of these. And
really,
yeah, and he had been working on it for a long time. I don't remember if he ever finished it or not. I think he finished it and immediately quit after.
What's awkward to me is,
and I wonder why he finished it after spending an immense amount of gil on it. Realized it was like
he took it out and he tested it, and then he was like, "What have I done?
Why did I spend my time doing this?"
What's kind of awkward about it is it has the additional effect defense down, but it's 17.5%, and Angon is 20%. And
it's just
it doesn't override it.
Not as good. I mean, I guess Angon was like a merited ability. You could lose a little bit and spend your merits elsewhere, but
hear me out though.
I think the 5% attack.
You could sacrifice the defense down in exchange for Hoxney, and that way you can keep Hoxney up and not change Angon. And
nice.
Just use your Gungnir.
True.
But realistically, I don't really see any solid cases for this. This is like in my mind, this does less than Bravura.
No, in my mind, it's better than Bravura by a lot, but
it's okay.
But by a lot, I don't mean like a whole letter grade.
Sure.
Like, I think Bravura is really. I think, maybe it's wishful thinking, but I feel like this weapon could actually see decent numbers with weapon skill and its additional effect and 5% attack aftermath, double attack aftermath. Like, all those are really nice benefits for dealing damage. And then Bravura is like, I'm tanky or doesn't do anything.
Right. Okay.
But that being said, obviously, it's probably the worst polearm Rima.
Sure.
and I don't think there's much argument there.
Yeah. And I mean, polearms in general suffer from kind of a similar issue that great axes do, where the weapon skills are just not very strong, and they don't even have the utility, which really sucks.
And unlike some other weapon skills on this list, such as Knight's Sound and others we haven't discussed, or even Mercy Stroke or Catastrophe, Gears Kogel is not known for being quite powerful and exciting.
Right. Okay.
Of course, of course, Velner showed up while we're talking about
Dragoon.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think Gungnir earns its place in the D category.
I like it at the top of D.
I have it below Bravura because I think Bravura at least supplies a little bit of utility.
Warrior bias.
It supplies a little bit of utility where Gungnir does not.
Gungnir, rank 15, all jumps plus 15% damage. That's kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else to add for anything else to add for Gungnir?
It looks cool.
Yeah.
It does look cool.
It does. The trident aesthetic is something that's pretty cool.
Sorry, Aiden, I tried.
And eventually we got Gebuya out of it. So
yeah, it's true.
It was the predecessor for some greatness. Gungnir walked so Gebuya.
That's fair. All right, let's move on. This is probably going to be our first one in the S tier, I think. And this is Kikoku is up next. What do you guys think about
Kikoku?
For whatever reason, has always been like overhyped and like ninjas are always like, you could make a Rima or you make Kikoku attack percent and broken.
I have a Kikoku, and I can firmly tell you that Metsu is indeed Bestu. So
is it really?
It's
lying.
It's not that great. but it looks really cool. Like, I love the look of Kikoku.
Blade Metsu is probably the coolest looking relic weapon.
Yeah. I think Blade Metsu is, I thought you were talking about Kikoku like being a cool looking relic. So like I think it is on par with Gutler as far as looks go. But I don't know, it's a cool little katana, and it's not great. It's nice because, let me see, I believe it gives a similar attack buff to attack plus 10% and subtle blow plus 10. So like the attack is not bad. And Ninja needs it.
Plus it also enhances subtle blow further,
which
right?
Ninja also could use,
That's another 10%. Yeah,
Right.
Ninja does not need.
Right.
And it's subject to the cap. LOL.
Yeah.
How often does the additional paralysis effect trigger?
Little enough that I've never noticed it.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's about 10% of the time. It doesn't override itself.
Yeah.
I think it should, right?
It would be nice if it did. I think all aftermaths should overwrite themselves personally. But
I think we're in an era where, like we were just clowning on Dark Knight, and Dark Knight has to be in the discussion to get clowned on, whereas not in the discussion. When I came back to the game, Ninja was a lot more popular.
Yeah.
I think just because the meta was like less rigid in the 2019, 2020 era, where like everything was played and there were less strict requirements doing things, content.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly Odyssey's fault.
Yeah. I think the rise of Odyssey and 6-man content has really like hamstrung the ability to be flexible in larger events like Dynamis with 18 people.
Yeah.
For a long time, people always loved to talk about Kikoku being maybe not the best, but actually very, like in the conversation of Heishi versus Koku. You'd pick the Heishi, but Koku is still strong. What you'd always.
Right. To me, because I don't really have much else to add to Gogoku. To me, it's in C. I think it's right around where
Yeah,
Ragnarok was. Because
that's
Yeah.
exactly what I was getting at.
okay, cool. I still think it's a cool weapon. If I still played Ninja, I would probably bust it out every now and then just for the lulz. But
Realistically, I think the difference maker is that the weapon skill itself is fine enough,
mhm.
and it might not be the best weapon of its weapon category, katana, but you can still do fine with it.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
if
fair.
you're an aspiring young ninja, you have a little bit of gil, you're not going to be miserable that you did it. You're not going to jump off a cliff because you made
Mhm.
the weapon.
Yeah, you'll be a little disappointed though.
Yes,
Once you
in
make
the
it
long run.
on
In the
serious.
long run, maybe not in the short run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if this next weapon is made, then maybe you might be
Yeah. So next up we have Amano.
Mono Murakuma.
Yeah,
Mm.
and I don't know much about Amano, to be honest.
It's not good. That's what you don't know.
That's kind of what I get. Let's see. So Aftermath is Store TP plus 10 and Zanshin plus 10.
Mm.
What I've always been told by samurais whom I respect is that Tachi Kaiten is dog.
Oh, really? That actually makes sense. I feel like great katana weapon skills in general tend to not be very strong until you get Fudo or
Yeah.
or
Even then, like I feel like Fudo and Shohan stuff are good because the way they skill chain,
right.
but like they're not really super strong except for the hybrids, like your Jinpu and stuff.
Yeah. Was Amano any good at 75 bro?
I think it was okay, just because of lack of options.
Yeah.
But at 75, wasn't there also like a TP bonus great katana at 75 that was kind of bonk?
Oh,
Yeah,
Hagen or
Hagen.
whatever.
Yeah. But I don't I think Amano was better than that, but I mean
Mm.
probably by how
I think
much I
mostly
couldn't
because
tell
of
you.
base stats,
Right.
not because of the weapon itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately,
You'd be hard pressed to find a Amano in the wild other than like maybe sub 10 players, right?
right. I know a handful of people that have Amano, but they're
Yeah.
like I've never seen anybody actually use it.
I can't remember what it was. Somebody was like, it might have been in my link shell or just like one person like a year or two ago when people were still excited about progressing Sorty. And I can't like somebody was like on this hype train about Tachi Kaiten for killing Dartok or something, like something stupid like that. But I've never heard anybody talk about it otherwise.
Stuff like that's bizarre to me because whenever someone does something like that, it makes me think they have like some sort of stock in Amano and they're trying to rug pull me.
Yeah.
They get 10% of the currency anybody
Yeah,
spends
like
on
like they're getting some sort of deal.
them.
I don't know. To me, Amano is D tier, but what do you guys think?
Oh, easy. I think it's worse than
I think it's worse than Bravura. Wow. And I know how much you hate
Yeah.
Bravura. That's crazy. Good. Unless Heghmoh has a rebuttal, we're going with D tier.
No, I've got nothing.
It's purely on feeling.
Yep, great.
Screw you,
Yeah,
Sarah.
purely on vibes. Going D tier. Next up is Mjolnir. What do you guys think about Mjolnir?
Mew.
I think I think
Thor
it was
wields it,
strong.
and Thor.
Thor is strong for sure. I think it
got
was
abs.
strong at 75 when you could bust out your reverence mail, and
Oh yeah.
you could do when
When you
melee
go to
white mage
Vertra?
was kind of a thing.
I loved those white mage monk Vertra camps. That being said, I think that was not very popular. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you're gonna build a relic at 75 and go through like how nearly impossible it was, and you're gonna use it for a meme, this was
Yeah.
the meme to make, right?
I feel like this weapon at 75 was like a big fuck you to everybody else.
Yeah.
Like to the general player base whom their link shell bank would never even look their way, and they were working tirelessly for their link shell leader to get their Aegis. And then some white mage walks by wearing this, flips you the bird.
Yeah. Outside of like meleeing for the memes, I don't think I can't think of any like practical
Yeah.
uses there were for this.
I feel like this is one of those, like it is. I kind of imagine that this was like some dev had this vision of white mage being played differently, and they're like, well, no, look, we'll give it a weapon skill. People melee, you'll recover MP on proc when you hit, so like it's encouraging you to fight instead of rest. Um, and it never made sense in practical application.
Yeah.
You want to know something funny?
Go ahead.
I'm reading the level 75 variant. It says recovers MP procs around 10% of stores 4 to 16 MP. Will not proc during auspice.
Will not proc during auspice. What the fuck? Somebody requested that I read the aftermath effects and the additional effects. So additional effect, you just read that on the 119 version, the additional over effect is still 4 to 16 MP. Holy shit. And then the aftermath is accuracy 20, magic accuracy 20, and refresh 5, which seems underwhelming.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
What's kind of silly about this is it's basically a malignance rod in that when you R15 it, you get 30 keystones. But the difference being that it doesn't have refresh 1 passive, but if you weapon skill with it, you get refresh 5.
Oh boy. Yeah. And you get encouraged to melee because you got to get that fat 16 MP returned.
I feel like any mage Rima that tells you in order to benefit from it, you must be weapon skilling, kind of doesn't understand the concept of mage. Their backline job.
Yeah. But unfortunately, all of them do that. Like the black mage staff, the scholar staffs, like
they require,
and that historically has always left them in the bottom of the tier list.
I just, for added context, for historical context, the recovers MP not working with auspice, or for example with like afflatus misery or whatever, the auspice was added to the game in 2009, 2 years after Wings of the Goddess came out. So like that wouldn't have had any effect on your original relic application in like the first, going all the way up through COP.
Can you imagine being one of the brave souls who made this? Maybe like one of 3 people who made this. And then 2 expansions later, they add this like amazing spell to your job that makes the job better. And it breaks your weapon that you put blood, sweat, and tears in.
I don't know. I would love to. I mean, there's some cool stuff. Cure potency plus 30 on the R15. They tried to make it work, but I think in the application, it's like you were wearing your light staff or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Or your earth staff.
But it's cure potency 1, and like a white mage could literally like sneeze and like look at whatever.
But in the 75 area, I guess like they didn't have.
But
that
it's R15
on.
Yeah,
That's true. That's true.
So I would say for mage Rimas that have like mage specific effects that aren't just like Tishtria do damage. For the ones that actually do something that have mage effect, Square Enix played way too safe. They were like afraid to break a mage Rima where they're telling the mage to go melee to get the effect. They really could have pushed. They could have tuned it way higher, and it would have been still debatable. If you want to
right. So yeah, for me, Mjolnir is another D. Unfortunately,
I think this is the worst.
You think this is the worst one? I don't think it's the worst one, but I think it's one of the worst.
Well, if you don't think it's the worst one, the next one is the one you think is.
Man, I was hoping we would get a break before we had to do Claustrum. Like, I was hoping we could talk about some nice,
Yeah.
some nice
Well, the
weapons.
nice thing is like we can talk about Claustrum, get it out of the way, and then we have like an upward swing.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess let's fucking get Claustrum out of the way.
Yeah.
So I remember when well, I mean, this is a story. This is not something that I was there for. But when Relics came out, supposedly like DAT swaps weren't a thing. So somebody was talking about back in the day making Claustrum and being one of the very first people that ever made it, and everybody was like, oh, this is the relic weapon for black mage, this is the ultimate mage weapon, it's got to be really, really good at the end of the process, right? And then they made a Claustrum and they found out what it actually does, and they were like, what the actual fuck? And they just
Didn't do
regretted the
anything.
entire experience.
It had additional effect the spell.
Yeah. So
Which that could be cool. Look, I played melee. I mastered my black mage as a melee black mage.
Heghmoh, bro,
you
I'm
know,
gonna interrupt you right there. Just no. You fucking mastered your black mage dual wielding with a Kraken club. Get fucked.
Max
Like,
Endius
no,
Gate Club.
it doesn't.
Yeah,
Even though you meleeed it, it doesn't even count because you used
Yeah.
fucking clubs, bro. Like, get the fuck
Heghmoh was
outta
playing
here.
blue mage.
When I mastered black mage, I went out with Trust to Crawler's Nest, and I
Oh,
was
wow.
using occult acumen and a staff and magic bursting, and it was a ton
Yeah,
of
you
fun.
did it the hard way.
It was
Damn.
a ton of fun. So melee black mage is absolutely viable. I think it's more viable than a lot of people give it credit for. But this staff is not it. This is
All I'm hearing is
so
that
sad.
hipster Myth is mad that Heghmoh did it the smart way.
No, I'm trying to put things in perspective here is all. But yes, also hipster Myth is mad a lot of the time. So there's
I would say, you know what? You're probably right in that this weapon is the worst of all of them. In that, at least with Mjolnir, they tried to give it something passive for white mage at the R15 stage with zero potency, so you use it. This weapon doesn't do anything. This is silly.
What does it get at R15?
It gets
enmity
damage
20.
plus 16, enmity minus 20, and Gates of Tartarus damage plus 20%.
Dang.
15 refresh.
How hard does Gates of Tartarus hit? Is it good?
No,
it's not.
Oh.
It's not good. I
Damn.
can't believe you even asked that. It's not.
Damn.
Oh man.
Yeah, we had to be so mean.
To me, this is the worst one of all of them, and it feels like a personal fuck you to the backline damage dealers.
Well, I mean, I think that like Dex just said, like across the board, all of the caster based Rimas are like it's like one of those things that makes you question if they play the game. You're like, have you ever played Black Mage? Why? Like, why?
Right.
Except with the exception of the Mythics, like the Mythic is still great, but yeah.
To me, like them making this in 75 signals that Black Mage was just strong enough as it was,
And it certainly was.
And they didn't like know what to do with it, and they definitely didn't want to like add more potential to it, because this is the heyday where Black Mage was the king of damage, right?
If the Black Mage relic weapon was simply the all the staffs combined into one that we can make nowadays,
right,
I think that would have been appropriate.
Right, the elemental staves like all rolled into one, and those were expensive back then. Like I remember
Whatever, I forget what it's called, Chitoyan staff that has Eridance.
Yeah, yep.
That would have been an appropriate relic weapon at the 75.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Okay, so moving on to
now we're into the fun part.
Next one, we have.
Look at these toys; they're all good.
We have Yoichi next. What do you guys think about Yoichi?
No, Yumi.
I like Yoichi. I always loved that Samurai could use it. When I made it fairly recently, and I had really high hopes that it would just like be crazy cool. The damage potential's not quite there. but I think it's really fun to play with. And before Panaka existed, it was like at least a fun bow that you could get some novelty out of.
Right. Right.
I'm letting you go, Myth, because I have a lot to.
I think it has a couple like niche uses. I think it can be viable in certain scenarios. I remember when we were doing our initial Odyssey climb, this was actually key to our Ongo V10 win, because this was back when Ongo V10 and 15 were actually kind of hard, and it had some unique skill chain properties that allowed us to magic burst more often with Nama's arrow. So that was something that we used it. I know people have used this to beat our body V25. So that's obviously completely valid. But outside of that, like you don't need it for any of those things. You know, you can do all of those things that I just said without this completely fine.
Yeah.
But it is usable if you want it to be. So that's all I got.
Yeah, I think I did my first hour body clear with it. Not 25, but I made it for our body essentially when I made it. And like, it was cool. It's fun. It's fun to use it. It feels cool to like actually get to use a bow. But aside from that, like I probably could have done the clear without it. The enmity minus I think that it has didn't like have a huge effect.
I don't know why the enmity control isn't equal to Annihilator.
Yeah, me
So
neither.
that's the biggest thing I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
Weapon.
Yeah, go ahead and Dex.
Yoichi, in my opinion, like the only reason people use it is because they're bow enthusiasts and they want to use bow for fun, not for purpose or for function. It has the best arrows for accuracy, which is nice. If you want to use a powerful bow, such as Panaka, or even Fail Not, whatever you want to use. If you need the accuracy, this is your accuracy toggle, similar to how eradicating bullets, or I think that's the correct one, or the accuracy bullet, similar to that. Yoichi's enmity from Nama's arrow is static, which is why people use it for low enmity generation. It doesn't matter how much damage you do. Static enmity based on how much, or based on the weapon skill itself. Nama's arrow generates 480 volatile and 100 cumulative. It just so happens that Annihilator's Koronok does half of base. 240 and 80. So for the same amount of damage, and they're going to do comparable damage, they're both relic weapons. For the same amount of damage, you're dealing half. Now, when you go to Arabadi is deceptive in that a lot of people believe it's a DPS check, but it's more so an enmity toggle, an enmity battle, where you're balancing enmity, the Rune Fencer, the Paladin, the Ranger. This can be cleared with Yoichi. There's videos of Silmaril guy doing his bot Fiesta using Yoichi. And I think that's where people get led astray. People see that video and go, "Oh, Yoichi's good for the." Or people get too tunnel visioned on Yoichi is a bow, and bow has a better true shot distance, so I can get better damage at true shot. Whereas it's hard to talk about the bow without talking about the gun. Similar. I know I'm like getting ahead of myself comparing it to the bow to the gun right now, but the gun has a 10% damage aftermath similar to Tana, for example, and the bow's aftermath is garbage. The bow's aftermath gives it snapshot and accuracy, and not 10% accuracy. It's like 10 accuracy. So any amount of true shot that you might get, which in many fights you won't be able to utilize, but in fights that you can, is going to be offset if you were using Annihilator for the attack. So if they're kind of like neck and neck already, the main purpose behind both of them is their low enmity generation, and Annihilator deals half of the only other thing that you can make an argument for, which is kind of what Myth was saying, was its skill chain property. A lot of people like to say that Namazero on our body, because the main fight the relic weapons for.
Yeah.
On our body, you don't have the risk of doing an arc, which would heal him during his fetter mode. To that I say, don't spam Koronok. Like,
Yeah.
you can
Use other weapon skills.
you
Yeah.
can control that. You don't need to
Hmm.
just blindly mash the button. So that all being said, like I think Yoichi is a solid weapon. It can see play. The weapon skill does well. But it just is second fiddle to Annihilator. So this is kind of spoiling where I place Annihilator, but I think Yoichi's a B.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I think B is fair as well. I think it's more relevant than Mandau and Gutler for sure. Potentially more relevant than Svara. And since APOC is actually in the D tier, then Yoichi might be the top of B. For me.
And this is remiss to say. I'm reminded by the chat. It is also a samurai weapon. It's samurai's only bow Rima. That's cool. And samurai can use it sometimes for fun chain stuff. But if samurai wants a piercing option, they have shining one.
Oh yeah, they have pole arms. Yeah.
I think the fundamental difference is that samurai is not a functional member of a group setup where you are dealing with specific enmity mechanics, and that is what ranger is designed to do, and that's what these weapons are designed to do.
Yes.
So it gels so much better with ranger than it does samurai, even though it is cool that Sam can have the class fantasy of pulling out the big bow. It'd be even cooler if
the big. I mean, you're in the Sam.
or whatever.
You're in the Sam AF, and you pull out this big red bow.
It looks like a samurai weapon. It's very Japanese.
Yeah.
I think Square Enix messed up by making them too similar. I know they kind of didn't want to disparage people who liked bows and liked guns, so they made them analogous. But
and then they proceeded to just like make bows terrible for a decade. But yeah,
bows at 75 were amazing. But bows at 75 were very. My dream as a 75 ranger was to make a Yoichi, not an Annihilator. But that got upended when I came back to the game.
Yeah.
But I would say Square Enix should have leaned heavier into the bow and made it more samurai friendly and more unique, less similar to Annihilator.
Yeah, I think the greatest crime of Yoichi is that they teased us with a samurai bow on a Rima, and then they didn't give Panaka to samurai.
That's a huge failure on their part.
And look, I also like have to say I'm super offended that they didn't give warriors Spalrisos.
Yes.
But whatever.
They've definitely moved away from not only the samurai bow stuff, but also like the warrior single-handed axe, but that's another
it kind of also irks me that we haven't officially jumped on Annihilator yet, but like they didn't reverse engineer the relic weapons. We're talking about how primes got modern jobs, but some jobs got left off for no reason.
Yeah.
When new jobs came out well after relics existed, they didn't put the jobs on them. Like Blue Mage should have had Excalibur, and Corsair should have had Annihilator, but they didn't.
Right.
Dang.
So for me, the Yoichi is like
it's a B tier.
Yeah.
Maybe low B, maybe B.
Yeah.
I would say it's like, I would honestly say Yoichi is more useful than most everything in B, but like just looking comparatively to Svarai or Gutler or maybe not man. I don't know. I think the Yoichi might be the best of the Bs right now, just by comparison, but I don't know.
But it's not the B's need.
I don't have it above Apocalypse, but I do have it above everything else in B.
Yeah. Well, I put Apocalypse in A-, so that works for me.
Well, I would put Apocalypse in like plus. It's tough because they're not even, but there's a huge jump from day for me.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near Excalibur. So
Cool. So next up we have is Annihilator next?
it should be.
Yeah, it is Annihilator.
Pew.
Okay, what do we like or dislike about Annihilator, boys?
So I kind of rambled about both. Annihilator does 10% attack aftermath as well as 10 enmity. As a ranger in the modern era, you're stacking 50 enmity up with your hover shot anyway. But while building the stacks, nice to have 25 enmity off for Coronox while getting there. This makes it even less enmity generated than the Yoichi. And just like all the relics on this list, they have the multi-damage hidden effect. And on Ranger, that's more noticeable than any other job because of how Ranger's base damage works, crit multiplier works, crit damage, trait, etc. You'll notice it a lot more, especially with like a barrage accidental proc. I think Annihilator back in the day was most commonly used for things like Shadow Lord Zergs, stuff to that vein.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's been, historically always a good weapon. I know in the in the 20 teens, when the Master Trials first came out, Ranger with Annihilator was one of the most common strategies for white and black. It's kind of like if you want to deal low enmity but do good enough damage, Annihilator's the go-to. And I don't think that's changed even today.
As far as damage goes for the weapons that actually do damage on this list, Annihilator has held up the best over the years.
Yeah. Like Coronox not a great weapon skill, but I think Annihilator's a good gun.
Well, the thing about it, right? I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
no, go ahead.
If you use ERP, you want to TP at 2K because of how the TP scale.
Right.
But you're going to be doing like 60, 80,000 permanent. But with Annihilator, you go always at 1,000 because it scales its enmity or whatever. It doesn't scale its damage. And you're going to be doing like 25, 35,000. It's half or less than half, but you spam it, which is a benefit.
Yeah. To me, Annihilator is unique, and it's held up better than anything else that we've discussed on the list.
Yeah. Nice, fair. Top of A?
In my opinion, Annihilator is the strongest relic weapon.
Yep, I agree. I personally, I think it's an S with an asterisk, and the asterisk being
really,
the asterisk being it's attached to Ranger. So that could be like influenced based on how much you care or do not care about Ranger. I don't think it gets as much use as the other two that we're going to be discussing soon, but I think it is equally as important in some scenarios.
Unlike all the weapons we've discussed, I would say Annihilator and by proxy Yoichi, if you want to make it harder for yourself, one or the other is essential for one of the fights in the game, and no other weapon on this list say that it's essential.
Yeah, I agree with that. Cool.
Fair enough.
So what do you guys think about Annihilator?
I love it.
Well,
yeah, it's cool. I mean,
what
it's
rank?
I would I mean, I would say I'm reserving S for like the very pinnacle of usefulness. So I would put it A plus, like the very top of A.
Yeah, I would put it A plus. I would love to put it S, but I just don't think it crosses that threshold due to how niche Ranger itself.
Okay, I think that's fair. I think that is a fair assessment. It's definitely to me, Annihilator is way more important, way more integral than Excalibur. But I also agree with you guys that it's going to be kind of left behind by the next ones we talk about.
Yeah, for sure. And as always, support job or tanking Rimas always kind of like supersede weapons in that they provide so much. So when we get into these last two, it just only makes sense.
Right. Okay. So next up we have Yellerhorn.
Yellerhorn.
Name a more iconic relic other than the one that I haven't mentioned. Like these last two are so freaking iconic and they're job defining.
I just remember the horror stories of like level 75 alliances trying to take on the animated horns and like getting the entire alliance charmed.
Oh yeah.
And that kind of stuff. Like I couldn't imagine what a pain in the ass this was to make back in those days.
Making a relic and like not only did you have to you know, take advantage of a entire group of people that you called friends and steal all their money from under them, but then you had to coerce them into coming out to Dynamis Zarkabard and hitting the floor numerous times. This horrible thing that talked shit to you while it did it.
Okay, so what makes a G-horn special, guys?
The G-horn is the ultimate horn or instrument. It provides all songs plus, and it provides the strongest amount of all songs plus. Even back in the day, no other horn did that. As a bard in the 75 era, you had to carry multiple instruments for each different song, and G-horn said, "I do all of them at once."
Yeah.
And even going into current era, like it's the highest potency songs you can sing across the board. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could make the argument that today, Loud in the Shade does the same potency as Songs Plus, but you're not playing Bard and getting to a point at which you can have a Loud in the Shade without having
it's your second job. Unless you're
or
like you're going, you cleared Sorty 9 boss status playing Red Mage and you decide to switch to Bard. And then maybe you can reasonably skip it. But there's also still a case for what? There's still the case that
it's still the best in slot for magic accuracy.
Yellerhorn has the higher magic accuracy and the instrument skill that the Lunashed doesn't.
It's ubiquitous to Bard. It does the same exact thing as Luna Shade, except it of the extra songs. So you know, you can talk about that, and maybe on like an entire Rima weapon scale, it's slightly lower than the Luna Shade, obviously for good reason. But in terms of relic weapons, it doesn't take away from it being, I guess.
Yeah,
it provides such an enormous boost
for the whole party, for everybody that's getting the songs. You're getting a percentage increase on the songs. It's just hard to compete with that.
As far as melees go, Bard is so powerful. It's unavoidable.
I wish we could do one of these like tier lists where Bard is not at the absolute top.
Well, that's the
really
problem,
sad, right?
Well, it's actually like that's what puts Bard at the bottom for a lot of people. You know what I mean? Is that it's so reliant on all of its Rima. That then I gotta fight it. No, I'm gonna say it. That you don't even need to do all the hardest content in the game. You don't need a Yellerhorn or a Tardal.
Yeah, you don't need the Rimas anyway, by the way. The game is designed to not need the Rimas, guys.
But I mean, that's what makes Bard so difficult, is that it requires all of these, every single Rima. Even if you're skipping past Lunashed, to Lunashed by power leveling your Bard up, you still need a Yellerhorn situationally. Dardabla might be the only one that you could feasibly skip, but even then, like, doesn't Dardabla actually become better for the range of the AoE radius of your sleeps or something like that? But I don't know. It's just that's what makes Bard difficult, is that it needs everything. It's the most Rima intensive job out there.
It needs everything because
they're
in
also
Square
busted.
Enix's infinite wisdom, every instrument they've made for it that's an ultimate weapon has been that good.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
I like to imagine like the dev team being like broken up by job back in the day, and there's like the warrior team and the bard team and the monk team, and they all had to like present their ideas for relics. And the black mage team was like, or the warrior team was like, hey, I want to put double attack and double attack damage, and the producer's like, whoa, you can't be that potent. Look, we gotta balance things out. You get damage taken reduction. And they're like, fine. And then the bard team always comes up and presents and gets everything they want. And everybody's like, fuck the bard team. They always get the best Rima.
Yeah. I'm hoping when they make the Limbus Rimas that they like somehow find a way to add another Rima that Bard absolutely has to have. Like
Oh yeah. I hope it's a dagger. I hope it's another dagger.
Yeah, a dagger with like song potency +2 on it or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we should
song duration 25% and song potency.
And to DT2 on it. Yeah. Shit. I mean obviously Yellowhorn is gonna go in the S tier. It's just there's nothing about it. I hate how simple it is to just be like, yeah, it's just really good. Like let's just move on.
Yeah.
I wish there were more complexity to it. I do. But
yeah,
it's just powerful to disregard.
All right, let's get our very last one for the day then, guys. Aegis.
The Aegis.
This is the quintessential relic.
This is what your link shell leader at 75 funneled the entire link shell's currency to and then quit the game afterwards. This is what people still aspire to get. It's still
this is what defined a good paladin.
And it's still one of the single best shields for most content.
I'd argue it is the best shield for majority of content.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sadly.
No, it's not. It's not. Right. Let's
really now.
It's not. I think you're wrong. I think you tend to overestimate Aegis a little bit, Dex.
I think you use Aegis for more content than use any other shield.
So you don't. So Aegis is in my opinion, in my eyes, Aegis fills the same slot for Paladin that Annihilator fills for Ranger. You don't need MDT2 for that many fights, and in fact most of the fights you're going to be using Dubon or Prewin or whatever else. If you're taking multiple mobs, you're not going to be using Aegis, which is a lot of content. So like in segments and stuff like that, you're very, very rarely going to be using Aegis unless you really need the extra DT and you're running into like a group of puddings or skeletons or something and you're getting nuked a lot. That would be really the only reason to swap to it. Where Aegis comes into play a lot is the specific fights like Heghmoh. You're going to be using it, but for the rest of Sorty, you're not going to be. You can use it for Kalunga if you decide to take Kalunga on Paladin. Aegis is going to be the way to go. But outside of the like the specific magic fights, you're going to be using another shield most of the time. The thing is, Paladin is going to be used more than Ranger, which is why it's a step above Annihilator. And when you use the Aegis, you need the Aegis is the main thing.
Aegis is just stronger than Dubin for magic damage, even if the Dubin is stage 5 by quite a lot.
Yeah. If you compare the stage 5 Dubon to an Aegis, you'll take half as much magic damage with an Aegis as you will a stage 5 Dubon. The problem.
I saw Shiraj's comment. When you need an Aegis, just go Rune Fencer.
Yeah. Honestly, a lot of the fights that like people do use Aegis on outside of Amnon, you probably could do just as well or better with a Rune Fencer without a Rima.
You can tank Amnon as a Rune Fencer sub white mage. It works.
I know you can. It's just harder. And I
I
don't
think
think that's
Dubon
common.
is obviously better for Paladin for like multiple small mobs, but for majority of bosses where you bring a Paladin, you put the Aegis on to mitigate that damage.
It again, like there's instances where that's true with the bosses, but they're specific bosses. Like Ammonon, Kalunga, you're using it for a couple like ambuscades. Outside of that, there's not a whole lot of NMs where you really need the Aegis. But it is again like when you need it, you need it. So if you're a paladin, then you expect to, if you want to do all the content, like you need to have an Aegis. It's just like having, I mean, potentially even more important than having a G horn for your bard, because you'll die and then your party will die, and that'll be embarrassing.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's really good. The block rate does suck, as somebody pointed out in chat. When I used to run a counter build with my Aegis to make up for some of the block rate, because you can cap DT super easily on Paladin, and you can add in a little bit of counter to make up for a little bit of the block rate, which is kind of interesting, but that's more of like a for funsy type thing. It's not something I would take super seriously.
Between Aegis and Dubon, like the other shields don't really come out nearly as often.
No, definitely not. I think I think these are the two. I think Dubon, to me it's probably going to be like a 70-30 split, where you're using Dubon 70% of the time and you're using Aegis the other 30%. But it's still very, very important.
I feel like of the relics on the list, the Aegis, when it's needed, is the most essential, whereas the other ones you can get by, or it'll be harder without, but the Aegis becomes the most essential when you do need it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So would you rate Lunish, or sorry, not Lunashid, Yellowhorn or Aegis higher?
I think Aegis goes a little higher, and that might be
Really?
strictly due to the fact that Lunashade exists, and due to the fact that you could wear weaker potency songs and still win fights, but without an Aegis, you will struggle to tank certain things.
Yeah, I think the
I don't know.
difference
I'd almost
is like if you don't have an Aegis in certain scenarios, you die, and if you don't have a Yellowhorn in certain scenarios, you do less damage mostly.
It's harder, but it's not impossible.
Well, I mean, I think that you can overcome the lack of a Yallarhorn through persistence or through luck or through a variety of things, versus like in certain scenarios you can't overcome the lack of an Aegis, right? Like you just have to work a lot. Everybody has to work a lot harder because song potency is a little lower, but you can't stop the paladin from getting one shot by a crazy hit. But I don't know. I think that like it's hard for me to put. I don't know. I'm on the fence. If it's, I think it's still below Yallarhorn just because of how impactful Yallarhorn is across the board to so many different things, aside from a couple niche encounters.
Yeah. I think Aegis might be the top, because it's, if we compare the +3 to +4 songs, is probably a smaller impact than keeping your entire party alive during those NMs where it matters.
If we're ranking them from like a iconic standpoint, I think Aegis is much more iconic and much more representative of the relic category. It's what people remember more.
Yeah.
It's also probably the most made relic item of all.
I think it is definitely the most made, according to Auction House at least.
I remember back when Void Watch first came out, and I couldn't afford an Aegis, like we had talked about earlier, and I was getting clapped on Paladin and Void Watch, and I was so mad because I had just made an O chain, and I was like, I should be able to tank everything now, right?
Oh, I have
And
the best shield.
yeah, and I think it was the one in Behemoth's Dominion. I can't remember which NM that was, but I just kept getting one-shotted, and I was like so fucking mad because I had this super cool O chain that I just went out of my way to make, and I just kept dying. And then
Wasn't
it
that
just
the Mantis?
happened. Yeah, I think it was the Mantis. Yeah, those days were rough. But yeah, Aegis is really good. So if you're a Paladin and you don't have one, you should go get it.
For sure.
Okay, guys.
And like, I mean, I think it is. I just like final note. I think looking at all again, it's one of those. I don't know why Paladin got such a good role on relics, but like compared to everything else, like compared to every other buff on all of the relics, the amount of MDT2 on Aegis is mind-blowingly crazy. Like especially in that era, especially back in the day. Like it's such a huge amount of stats that whoever on the team must have loved Paladin a lot. Is my only takeaway from it.
I think it was more impactful back in the day,
Yeah,
especially considering
exactly.
that Rune Fencer didn't exist.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, that was like bread and butter. You couldn't like you suffered without having that thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nowadays, there's more options, but the potency of it's even higher, and it makes those fights much more viable on Paladin.
Yeah, and it was interesting because they balanced it exactly for like what Paladin needed, unlike a lot of some of these other ones where
Yeah.
like Paladin could deal with the physical damage, whether that was like blocking or using sub ninja shadows or whatever, but would get wrecked by some of the magic damage, or Earth Staff famously, that kind of stuff, but yeah. So we have the list up. Is there anybody have any objections, or do we want to change any
Yeah.
of
Do we
these?
need to move
Do we
anything?
need to move Claustrum up to S tier?
I think Claustrum got a bad rap, and we could probably
Yeah.
no, it's all fine.
Okay, cool. We did it.
I'm pretty happy, and I know you kind of hinted that you might want to move things around later.
I think that was Heghmoh that was talking about that.
I mean, I think it's always like reserving the right to shuffle stuff as you go. But I don't know. I think this is pretty close to what I would imagine.
I do have to say that it makes me sad that D tier is tied for the most amount of weapons in that category for relics.
Well, I mean, the relics are the oldest weapons, and like they got updates with R15s and everything else, but like in general, the design of them is from the very beginning of the game, essentially. So they just haven't aged well as the game has evolved.
Yeah. You know what has aged really well though is Limbus.
Ooh.
I think it's gonna age.
I
think it's gonna continue to be going really well. Actually, speaking of Limbus, do you guys have any speculation on when you think the updates, whether that's the battlefields that they hinted at or the weapons or anything like that, might occur in Limbus? Do you think it's gonna be
If I were
another
to
6
guess,
months?
if I were to do a timeline, I would wager that we get the high tiers before any meaningful update to Limbus. That we would get the weapons and the final version of Limbus or final update to Limbus with additional NMs or whatever they were talking or hinting at near the end of the year. I think fall.
Really? You think that long?
Yeah.
I
think they're going to spit out the high tiers in the summer.
Yeah, I could. I want to have like hopium on this one, and just because like something, and I don't know if it was something they said or if it was just because how rapidly they were updating Limbus at the end of 2025. It was like every month was an adjustment, a patch, an adjustment, a patch. And so when they said that they were 90% done and they had one more patch, I think that in my head at least, and maybe they didn't say it, but in my head it was like, oh, maybe February, maybe March. Okay, not February, March, maybe April. Okay, not April. Like I was expecting it in the spring.
Do you think
So
it's
I don't know.
possible, based on the feedback that they've received, that they want to do more than just one?
Based on the I no, like based on the feedback they've received, I would imagine that would mean they want to do more updates. But based on the director's response to us having any kind of
Well,
concern over how Limbus
Fujino said
works,
no
yeah,
to,
uh,
but the one response that, kind of perked everyone's ears up and surprised everybody was that when told that Limbus takes too long to do the
yeah,
content, he kind of agreed and said they'd be looking into ways to potentially fix that problem, which is also not a yes, it's a maybe. And
yeah.
but
I guess
but
I also lump that into like a maybe in more than one update in the sense that they'll do a final content update where we get because they had kind of hinted at like battlefields or something they said where you could do fights, to get whatever you get from that. And they also hinted at weapons. Um so I could see like that being the final content update completes Limbus and then they do adjustments later, which reduces the amount of time.
I'd be
I
cool
could
with
see
that.
that. Yeah.
My hope is that, they had an idea of how they wanted the final wave of content, NMs, weapons, whatever to be. And over the course of these last few months, with the general consensus and, you know, both regions having their own sets of feedback and them conceding that things do take too long, they've kind of put it on the back burner a little bit to try to adjust things for the final patch. But
I'd be
I
okay
could be
with that.
wrong.
I would like that, and I think that would be really nice if they spent some time adjusting that. But I also am skeptical that they'll actually do anything
Oh, I
about
do not have faith in that whatsoever. That is what I want, and that's what I hope, but I don't have
Yeah.
faith in it at all.
I mean, I'm still hopeful that we'll get final Limbus updates maybe in June. Like I don't expect them in May. I think there's going to be too much going on in May with anniversary stuff. Maybe we get like cuz like they're kind of like I kind of see them as maybe joke battlefields in a way where the HDMBs with the additional scenarios is maybe an anniversary thing, maybe in the summer, but I don't know. I feel like the final Limbus stuff because going back into July, that's 6 months since they added NMs. That's a year since Limbus was initially updated to finally have the system like in its 100% form. I would hope that it's in the summer.
What about somebody pointed out in chat, what about the anniversary coming up next month? Do you think they'll do anything or unveil anything for that?
I think we're not getting a Bonanza weapon.
Yeah. Speaking of the anniversary next month, it's also the anniversary of the Blur podcast. We'll have been going up for over 1
What?
year. We'll have been
That's crazy.
we'll have been reigning best podcasts for Final Fantasy
Yeah.
11 retail for one whole
52
year.
episodes.
Yeah, 52 episodes because we've never missed a week.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't I don't know, like I never want to expect too much, cuz that just sets us up to be disappointed. I think that we'll get the normal discount campaign, the normal like, you know, special like anniversary keys and whatever we get normally. I still think there's a slim chance that they do Mog Bonanza weapons again. They've just been trying to downplay it as much as possible so it's a surprise again. But in terms of content, I don't like maybe they do like a Crystalline Prophecy fight and they start rolling those out
Oh,
in the May update.
they'll do them all at once? You think they'll do them one at a time?
Do you think they'll do them all at once? Do they do
I kinda
anything
think
all at
so.
once?
I
We've been updating Besiege for 18 months now. I
We
don't
get the
think,
final Besiege next month, right?
yeah. So I
That's
don't
gonna
know.
be
I kind of
experiment.
expect them to do at least like across multiple months, but who knows?
Yeah.
I think if we're to ever get another Bonanza coupon, it'll be next year for the 25th anniversary.
You think they'll take a year off?
That'd be interesting. Yeah, I don't know what bonanza weapon would you choose?
We're going crazy today.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
My next one, I'm leaning towards the ice brand for the lulz, the nuke with, but I think that's a stupid choice, and I would probably stew on it. If we actually get a coupon, I'll probably stew on it and not pick that.
Part of me would say like what's the flex to do? And I'm like, part of me is like, I maybe just +1 my diamond aspect, so I have a
You
+1.
I don't
can't.
think you can with the.
Oh, you
can't.
can't with
Yeah, you
the
can't select
reward.
the.
Oh, damn.
You
Well,
have to
maybe
win.
they
You have to
added
win
that.
the bonanza for that thing. For the
But they
iris.
didn't they
Also,
add the
Diamond
iris
Aspis doesn't
after?
have a +1.
Oh, it doesn't have a
Yeah.
+1. Okay, then bubble crab. It has to be
Bubble
bubble
crab.
crab then.
Are we talking about winning the bonanza or
man.
getting the bonanza coupon?
If I got a bonanza coupon, I had to choose another weapon. Dude, I don't even know. I don't even. Maybe. I guess Wizard's Rod, just to have it in my pocket because it's the best one.
Yeah.
Wizard's Rod's really good.
Yeah, I'd probably do Wizard's Rod.
Yeah.
Heghmoh was not
That's only
on the episode where we discussed the bonanza weapons.
And
that was episode
honestly,
0,
it
right?
might have been better because of that.
Wow.
What the hell does that mean?
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out today. That's all I got.
Thanks again.
So yeah.
And if you disagree with our opinions, well, they're not opinions, they're facts. So get used to it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. All scientifically tested.
When you have the #1 Final Fantasy 11 podcast, come back and let us know.
The #1 by
Come to us. Otherwise, go back to the gutter, clown.
Please don't make a podcast because this is all we have.
yeah. If anybody else wants to make a podcast and knock us out of the #1 spot, feel free, because it probably wouldn't be that hard.
Leave a comment in below so we can just downvote it. Nerd.
Jesus. All right. Thanks, everybody. That is it for today.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
See you.